Just started university, and my beautiful tutor turns out to be the mother of my child. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1276, Must Take Revenge on Lin Feng. Zhang Yuxi started to tremble again when he heard this. He was indeed a very vicious businessman. But he was not a martial artist. If he was hit by a few sticks like this, then fractures would be a small matter. The most feared thing was that he would be beaten into the hospital. Then in the next few months, he would not be able to go to the company to handle things in person, so he shook his head, hugged Lin Feng's thigh, and kowtowed to beg for mercy. "Let me go, Lin Feng. At most I won't compete with you. At most I will give you part of my pharmaceutical company's shares, which is enough to buy my life." But even after he said this, Lin Feng did not agree, but directly hit him with a stick. Zhang Yuxi covered his head and screamed. But Lin Feng's next stick was more fierce than the last, hitting him everywhere, and he heard the sound of fractures. This was also the result of his own fault, so he would never forgive him so easily. "Stop hitting me, stop hitting me. Isn't it enough for me to kowtow to you and apologize? I'll kowtow to your wife to apologize, too. Please stop hitting me. I can't stand it if you keep doing this." No matter how miserable he screamed, Lin Feng never stopped. The baseball bat in his hand kept hitting him, and in the end Zhang Yuxi looked very miserable. Because even the ground was filled with a faint smell of blood, it can be seen that Lin Feng really beat him up, and in the end Zhang Yuxi didn't even have the chance and strength to beg for mercy, and only stopped when he felt uncomfortable. Then he stood up and said to him, "Okay, I'll let you go this time, Zhang Yuxi. Remember my woman, you can't touch her. If you do, you will pay the price. Otherwise, anyone will dare to touch my woman in the future. We're done with this matter, but the matter with the business competitor is not over yet, so let's put it one way, and I really hope that your company can surpass my work." After hearing this, Zhang Yuxi's eyes were almost unable to close. But he still reluctantly listened to Lin Feng's words, thinking silently in his heart. One day in the future, I will definitely take revenge on Lin Feng. Now he can only watch Lin Feng walk away. After the man finally left, Zhang Yuxi got up from the ground, but at this time, the man with flower arms who had escaped just now came back, helped him up and said to him, "Boss, I didn't want to be like that just now, but if I don't leave, then I will end up like you. Maybe he won't treat me as a human being and will beat me even more badly. So I have no choice. Boss, please forgive me. Can I take you to the hospital now?" It can be seen that the man with flower arms still has a little conscience. Zhang Yuxi also hates the man with flower arms in his heart, but at this time he has no other way except to rely on the man with flower arms. So he can only nod and say, "Okay, take me first." He didn't say forgiveness. Zhang Yuxi also said this to the man with flower arms in front of him. Anyway, as long as he takes himself to the hospital, he has plenty of time to recover from his injuries. When he grows up, he will definitely retaliate against Lin Feng, and this man with flower arms is also the first person he attacked. This guy actually betrayed him and then followed Lin Feng to set him up like this. If he didn't vent his anger, would he still be called Zhang Yuxi? He sighed cheerfully and spat out a mouthful of phlegm mixed with blood. He blew cold wind on the mountain road because they didn't have a car now. The friends of the man with flower arms had already driven his car away, so now they could only walk down the mountain. At this time, even the man with flower arms couldn't help complaining, "Boss, if you didn't choose such a remote place, then we could at least get a taxi and go to the hospital, but now we can only walk, and we don't know if we can get down the mountain tomorrow morning. Then we can use our mobile phones to call an ambulance. Don't worry, we will be fine." Zhang Yuxi had a headache when he heard the voice of the man with flower arms, but there was really no way. He could only listen to the other parties chattering or walk on his own. Otherwise, he would really die in this wilderness. And at this moment, on the other side, Lin Feng had finished dealing with Zhang Yuxi's problem, so he went back to find Zhang Yuxi. He saw Zhang Yuxi standing by and looking at the stars in the sky. Lin Feng walked over, hugged him gently, and said to him gently, "What are you looking at, honey? Are you bored now? It's okay, we'll be home soon." Zhang Yuxi turned around, leaned gently in Lin Feng's arms, and then answered Lin Feng. "I just feel that this moment is very quiet. I feel like you can solve any problem I encounter. You are really the greatest hero in my life. If there is no you in this world, then I just can't live, not even for a day." Although Zhang Yuxi's earthy love words were indeed a little bit bad, Lin Feng was deeply moved after hearing them. He also hugged her tightly, and Zhang Yuxi said to him, "No, we will never separate. Don't worry, I will protect you all my life. No matter what happens, we will be together. Even if the world is destroyed, we will go to the last moment." The promise of the two of them is as twinkling and charming as the stars in the sky. After watching the stars for a while, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi took him down the mountain. They took two completely different roads, so they would not meet Zhang Cation. Lin Feng also knew which direction Zhang Cation went up from just now, so he didn't want to meet Zhang Cation, and he didn't want his wife to see Zhang Cation. He would definitely bring up the bad memories just now. After the two arrived at the foot of the mountain, Lin Feng drove over and said to Zhang Yuxi, "You go sit in the co-pilot first. I'll make a phone call and ask if the people in the company are back." Because when Lin Feng came out today, he heard the news in the company that Xiao Chen was back. If this is the case, then he has evidence to point out that Zhang Cation stole his company's patent and then reported him. In this way, when the lawsuit is filed, I will definitely win. After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuxi nodded, and was not angry because Lin Feng was going to do something else at this time. He was not as artificial as those other women. Instead, he leaned on the seat of the car and closed his eyes. "Husband, you can make the call without worry. I'll sleep for a while now. If you finish the call later, remember to wake me up, okay? I want to chat with you." Looking at Zhang Yuxi's gentle and lovely appearance, Lin Feng couldn't help but kiss her on the forehead, and then said to him, "Sleep here for a while, I'll go out to make a call and be back in about 5 minutes. After Lin Feng finished speaking, he opened the car door and walked out. Chapter 1277 Future Wife. The call was directly connected to the laboratory under his company. After nearly 10 seconds, the call was connected. "Hello, is this you, boss? Are you calling to confirm how Xiao Chen is doing now?" Because the researchers in their laboratory had just waited for Xiao Chen to come back, everyone went to visit Xiao Chen very happily, but also left 1 or 2 people here waiting for Lin Feng's call. Because they all guessed that the difficult ones would call, and sure enough, they had already called. So after hearing their voices, Lin Feng nodded and said, "Yes, I just came to ask what's going on here. If you need a doctor, then tell me quickly and I can call a doctor for you." After hearing what Lin Feng said, the person on the other end shook his head and said, "Boss, don't worry. Xiao Chen doesn't have any big problems now. He is just chatting with his sister in one of our employee dormitories. They haven't seen each other for a long time, so we didn't disturb the two siblings." After hearing what the employee said, Lin Feng realized a little bit, and then said to him, "If you need anything, just call me. I'm going home first. After all, this place is gloomy, and I don't want Zhang Yuxi to catch a cold here." After saying this, the voice of the researcher was also heard on the phone. "That's great, boss. As long as you are okay, then I'll hang up first. I'll go take care of Xiao Chen and his sister first." After saying this, he hung up the phone first, but Lin Feng felt a little strange holding the phone. He said to himself, "I don't think I told the researcher that I didn't encounter any danger on the top of the mountain, but why does he know all this?" After saying this, he didn't go back to the car directly, because he knew that Zhang Yuxi should have fallen asleep in there. He wanted Zhang Yuxi to sleep a little longer. So he was thinking about a question at this time, that is, what happened just now? Otherwise, why would that person talk to him like that? There must be something wrong. But Xiao Chen should have come back to surrender, and he would never bring other traitors. Is there another traitor in his laboratory? If so, it would be too unlucky. Lin Feng shook his head and turned away. No, he must go to the scientific research laboratory building now. In this way, he can find out what happened. When he returned to the car, he saw Zhang Yuxi snoring, and then he smiled helplessly, because he had to drive now. There was no way. Zhang Yuxi could only wake up by force, and then looked at Lin Feng's face, which looked a little pale, and said to him, "What's wrong with you? You look a little pale. Hasn't the problem just now been solved? That guy Zhang Cation has been dealt with by you. Are we in real trouble?" Lin Feng said apologetically. "I'm sorry, honey, I am in a little trouble now. I'm going back to the scientific research laboratory building to ask Xiao Chen how he is. But don't worry, I will take care of things tonight. I'll take you home first, and then you can have a good sleep in bed. I'll make breakfast for you when I come back tomorrow morning, how about that? Zhang Yuxi nodded very obediently. Actually, a lot of things happened tonight. But she believed that Lin Feng would not be unwilling to tell her anything and hide it from her. If he was hiding something from her, it must not be a big deal. He held Lin Feng's hand and said, "Husband, don't worry, I'm not a child. If you can't do this little thing you told me to do, then how can I be your future wife?" Although they are just college students now, they already have a dream of starting a family in the future. So if Lin Feng encounters something at this time, if he can't help, then he will definitely wait for Lin Feng silently by his side. What a virtuous wife. Lin Feng was very moved, and then he drove the car down the mountain. The poor thing was that Zhang Yuxi on the other side was too miserable. He could only accompany his flower arm to support himself to go up step by step, and the wind was very strong at this time. He was not in good health to begin with, and this was a difficult fracture. If it was delayed for a few more hours, then it would definitely be doubly serious, causing him to stay in the hospital for a few more months. After thinking of this, he hated Lin Feng even more. After spitting, he shouted loudly at the sky, "Lin Feng, I will make you pay the price. Zhang Yuxi, will never let you go." The man with flower arms next to him couldn't help shaking his head. He felt that his boss was too strong. Could he be quiet for a while? He would have to go to the hospital soon, and he might have to stay in the hospital for half a year. By now, Lin Feng would have run his pharmaceutical company very well. How could he have time to deal with him? Moreover, Zhang Yuxi himself said that he would not be discharged from the hospital easily. It might be too late to deal with Lin Feng. At this moment, on the other side, in the laboratory of Lin Feng's company, the old man who had just hung up Lin Feng's phone was walking towards Zhao Chen's staff dormitory step by step. His leather shoes made a very clear sound on the cold floor, but Zhao Chen and his sister in the staff dormitory did not know that a danger was quietly approaching. At this time, Zhao Chen hugged his sister and talked about the many interesting things he had experienced during this period. "Brother, these things you said are so fun. And the amusement park you mentioned, I really want to go there tomorrow. Take me there tomorrow, okay?" Lin Feng hadn't heard from him yet about how to deal with him. Zhao Chen looked at his sister with some hesitation. She couldn't think of it, because he didn't know how Lin Feng would deal with him, and it was not determined yet. So if he agreed to his sister at this time, what if he couldn't go tomorrow? If he remembered correctly, then one of his seniors should have called Lin Feng just now. If Lin Feng knew that he was back, he must know that he had betrayed the entire company, and he might come to punish him tomorrow. And he probably didn't have time to accompany his sister. When he wanted to leave Zhang Yuxi before, he had already made a certain determination. If he could come out this time, he would definitely let his sister be a good person, and would not do so many unscrupulous things for money and for his relatives like he did. So no matter how Lin Feng dealt with him, whether it was taking him to court or dealing with him in private, he would accept it and would never object, and would even tell his sister not to seek revenge or anything like that. Chapter 1278, Visit by the Old Doctor. Zhao Chen looked at his sister with a sad face. She smiled so sweetly. He felt that his sister should thrive in the sunshine, not be irresponsible like him, so he smiled and said, "Sister, if you may not be able to see me for a few years or even 10 years in the future, will you study hard, work hard, and live well?" The sister didn't know why Zhao Chen's words suddenly became like this. She shook her head, tears burst out of her eyes, and said loudly to her brother, "No, brother, you promised me that you would grow up with me. You can't just leave me like this. I don't care what you have now. Why don't you just ask your boss for mercy? He will definitely meet you. Isn't he very supportive of you, brother?" Zhao Chen didn't know how to answer his sister. She felt that she owed her sister too much. Because after her mother left, she didn't take good care of her sister. And now her sister is still in the hospital. Although she is with her now, staying in the staff dormitory, who knows if her sister's illness will relapse? Just when Zhao Chen was very hesitant, he suddenly heard the sound of an elderly person who had helped him before, that is, another scientific researcher, knocking on the door, and he made a very kind voice. "Young man, can I come in and talk to you for a few words? The boss has just sent another message, saying that there are some things to be done and dealt with tomorrow." After hearing this voice, Zhao Chen understood that Lin Feng must have asked him about coming back just now. So he must have made preparations to punish him tomorrow. He began to look forward to it anxiously. He looked at his back, And then he could only say to the people outside the door, "Okay, wait for me, I'll come out now." His sister held him, looking very aggrieved, and she was about to burst into tears. Xiao Chen's heart softened, and then he wiped his sister's tears and said to him, "Xiao Ro, you must hold on. Brother must take responsibility for what he did wrong this time, instead of avoiding it all." Seeing his sister trying hard to get him, Xiao Chen couldn't help but say it again. "Don't worry, and didn't the old man just say that Lin Feng will punish us tomorrow? So no matter what punishment Boss Lin Feng has or not, we will accept it. And you are an innocent person, Boss Lin Feng will definitely not do anything to you." But Xiao burst into tears and said, "But I don't want you to leave me, brother. If you want to leave, then take Xiao with you, even if you have to go to jail. Otherwise, how can I live without my brother?" When Xiao saw his sister crying so sadly, he hugged his sister and started crying too. The elderly technical staff who was waiting outside started knocking on the door again. "Xiao Chen, you open the door first. No matter what happens, you come out to solve the problem first, instead of hiding. And this time when you come back, the boss is also very happy. Do you want to hear what the boss says? Anyway, there may be a turnaround tomorrow." After saying this, Xiao Chen let go of his sister, and then wiped his tears and said, "Okay, I'll come right away." Xiao Chen got out of bed and opened the door for the other party. He saw this kind-faced old man walked in, and then glanced at Xiao Ro on the bed and said to him, "Children, are you hungry? I just ordered 2 meals outside. You go out to eat first, and we will talk about what the boss said to you while we eat." Xiao Chen's face became a little solemn, but seeing the old man's kind look, he didn't want to disappoint the other party's kindness. "Okay, old doctor, let's go out with you to eat first, let's go eat together." After all, they haven't eaten anything since they came back, and they just drank 2 sips of water, because what happened just now was too thrilling. The two just wanted to be quiet for a while, and now the other researchers have already started their work, so it is impossible for everyone to come to see them, so it is not easy for an elderly person to come to comfort them and tell them what to do. After the two went out, they saw several people waiting outside, and their eyes were flashing with tears of excitement, probably because they were very happy that the two of them could come back. One of them came up and punched him directly, and then said jokingly and seriously, "If it weren't for you, kid, how could we have delayed the progress for so many days? Tell me how you are going to compensate us this time." I didn't expect everyone to be so enthusiastic. Xiao Chen couldn't help but touch his head, and then said shyly, "If you can stay this time, I will treat everyone to a meal after paying your salary, how about that?" The other researchers said happily, "That's what you said, you can't go back on your word." Several people talked and laughed, and after comforting Xiao Chen and his sister for a few words, they asked them to stay for dinner, and they went to continue working. After sitting down, Xiao Chen opened the rice and ate 2 bowls of rice, which looked delicious and juicy. It was indeed delicious, so he opened the tableware for Xiao Ro and said to him, "Eat, let's listen to what my brother's boss said after we finish eating. Anyway, no matter what the result is, my brother can accept it, so Xiao Ro, you must believe my brother, okay?" Although Xiao Ro was very sad, she still swallowed her saliva and looked at such a delicious meal. So he also started to eat voraciously. The old doctoral researcher said to his brother Xiao Chen, "I have seen that your sister is safe and sound, so you should breathe a sigh of relief. Hurry up and eat. After eating, I will tell you what Lin Feng told you." After saying this, Xiao Chen nodded and started to eat. But they didn't notice that the old man's smile suddenly became weird in their sight. Chapter 1279 I am innocent. There were only 2 of them eating here, and an elderly person sitting opposite them. Everyone thought nothing would happen to them. But at this moment, halfway through the meal, Xiao suddenly started coughing. It felt like there was something in his throat, choking him and making him unable to breathe. Brother, I'm in so much pain." After hearing the voice, Xiao Chen put down the chopsticks in his hand, and then said to Xiao Ro in fear and worry, "Sister, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Do you have an old illness again? What's going on? Doctor, can you help me call an ambulance?" After hearing this, the old man in front of him stood up and said to him, "The boss asked me to do all this. In fact, I didn't want to tell you just now, I just wanted to give you one more opportunity to spend a good time together as a brother and sister. So now you should understand that the boss will never allow people to betray him. Although he treated you very well before, he treated you well because you worked for him efficiently. And now you betrayed him, and almost let the products in his company be leaked. This is enough for Boss Lin Feng to get rid of all of you. But now the boss is kind enough to let you two brothers and sisters reunite, and he also came to say goodbye to everyone in the laboratory. Isn't this the boss's kindness? So be content. With a look of unwillingness to believe, he pointed at the other person and said, "It's you. It must be you, right? The boss can't be so mean to me." Xiao Chen at least still has some intelligence now. He knows that Lin Feng is indeed a great benefactor to him. If it weren't for Lin Feng, he wouldn't have chosen him. Moreover, he had been absent so many times before, but Lin Feng didn't fire him. He let him stay and continue to work for the people in the entire laboratory. It's not that there is any good relationship between them, but because Lin Feng is just a kind person. If this can't prove that Lin Feng will not hurt himself, then he really has a conscience eaten by a dog, and there is no need to come back to turn himself in. But after hearing this, the elderly doctor on the other side laughed, and his laughter was also very cold and strange. At this time, he said, "You are not stupid, you know this is not what Lin Feng really asked me to do. Lin Feng did call just now, but he said that he cares about you two very much and asked you if he wanted to call a doctor for you, so now I am here. Calling a doctor for you and letting you go to the hospital, isn't this satisfying the boss's wish? The boss will definitely find me when the time comes, so you two brothers and sisters don't have to worry, you two brothers and sisters will meet again in the hospital." After hearing what the old doctor said, Xiao Chen began to get scared, because all this was too terrifying. Just now, he brought so many colleagues to bless and laugh with him. But in the blink of an eye, it became like this. Is this person in front of him a devil? He asked loudly, "Old doctor, what do you want?" The old doctor looked at him, then shook his head and said, "I don't want to do anything. I just want to tell you that if you do something, you should do it to the end. If you follow someone, you should follow them to the end. Whether it is Lin Feng or Zhang Yuxi, you should be loyal to them. But you didn't do that, so I believe that all the troubles caused today are because of you, the scourge. Even if Zhang Yuxi doesn't get rid of you, I will get rid of you." Xiao Chen was stunned. He looked at the man in front of him with very surprised eyes. He felt as if he didn't know this person. Because the other party was so terrible, he actually said such weird words at such a time. I didn't expect that he was actually Zhang Yuxi's man. If he explained it this way, it would be clear. He shouted at the old doctor in front of him very loudly and angrily, "I didn't expect it to be you. You are Zhang Yuxi's other spy in this laboratory. If I had known all this earlier, I would have told Boss Lin Feng." The old doctor laughed, and then said to her with a very pitying look, "But you can't do anything now, right? I just said that all other researchers should do their work well. You are fine now, and everyone listened to me, because I have the highest authority and prestige in this place, if it weren't for the fact that I deliberately left a computer open. How could you get the information and do all this, and then you actually betrayed Zhang Yuxi, you know? Zhang Yuxi is a very important person to me." This was undoubtedly a very big blow to Xiao Chen, because he never thought that Zhang Yuxi would have someone else in this place, and his qualifications were much higher than his. He originally meant that there might be some non-main researchers outside the laboratory, because all the people in this laboratory were very kind to him, and they were also close to him, whether they were men or women. But the reality hit him hard again. He didn't expect that the person who performed the show would be a traitor. He looked at this person with some confusion and said, "Old doctor, why do you do this? If you really help Zhang Yuxi, then you don't need my intervention from the beginning. You are so prestigious. Why do you stay in this laboratory instead of going directly to his laboratory to work?" The other party looked at him, as if he wanted to die before he died, so he said, "It's because he is such a useless person. I left him because he was not fully grown, but I have been in this company for so many years. I also think that the boss of this company is indeed a good person. It's just a pity that he blocked my son's way." After hearing what he said, Xiao Chen was stunned. He didn't expect that the other party would be Zhang Yuxi's father, and he had been in Lin Feng's studio for so many years. If according to his words, then before Zhang Yuxi himself became the big boss of a company, his father, the old doctor in front of him, should have left Zhang Yuxi and came out. But by some strange coincidence, he ended up working in Lin Feng's laboratory building, which is why this happened. Xiao Chen felt that it was very unfair, so he said to the old doctor, "Old doctor, I beg you, please help me send my sister to the hospital." Her safety is the most important to me. I can teach you how to deal with your son's problem. It is indeed half my responsibility. I was forced to do it. I am innocent. But how could the old doctor believe what he said? There has been no news from his son so far, and he is the most worried. But when the man just answered Lin Feng's call, he wanted to congratulate Lin Feng. Who knows how uncomfortable he is as a father, so he said very cruelly to Xiao Chen in front of him. It's too late. I just want to watch your sister die here. If not, then I can only avenge my son. No matter what he has experienced now, he is still my son. He took the wrong path and did the wrong thing. No one else can punish him. It's not just you, Lin Feng, it's the same. Just at this time, it started raining outside. Suddenly, a shocking lightning blew, illuminating the faces of these people. So Xiao Chen could clearly see the old doctor in front of him, and how terrifying his eyes were when he looked at him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1280 The Best Punishment. At this moment, he felt that this guy really didn't intend to let his brother and sister go. So he thought of another way, that is, to notify Lin Feng to solve this matter. Because he believed that Lin Feng would not be willing to see another enemy appear in his experimental technology building. Just when he took out the phone to call Lin Feng, the old doctor rushed up and kicked the phone in his hand, and then threatened him, I tell you, if you don't care about your sister's life or death now, then you can call Lin Feng now. I guarantee that he will die miserably, because he has been poisoned, and it is not something that can be reduced in a month or a short time. Don't think it's just diarrhea. Look, he has fainted from the pain now. Do you really want to watch your sister die? You have to know that you just rescued him and haven't lived a good life with him yet. You have to watch him leave you and leave this world. Can you really bear it in your heart? It must be said that his words directly made Xiao Chen very angry, because he felt that this pair of father and son were exactly the same. The son threatened Xiao Chen before and asked him to do things for Zhang Cation for nearly 3 years. Now he finally got rid of Zhang Cation, but he didn't expect to meet Zhang Cation's father, and his father was even more cruel than him. Xiao Chen looked fearless, looked at Zhang Cation's father, and said, if you really intend to threaten me with my sister's life, then I advise you to end this ridiculous fantasy as soon as possible, because for me this time I have completely figured it out. If my sister needs to sacrifice more lives before she can survive, then her survival is also a sin, even if I go to jail. Will those who have been hurt by me, their relatives and friends, not come to retaliate against my sister? If so, it would be best to have one less thing happen and never let these things happen. It seems that he really figured it out. He had done too many evil things before. Now he wants to make up for it, hoping that he can live a normal life. Now he was faced with a new dilemma. He knew that Zhang Cation's father would not let him and his sister go so easily. Even if he compromised now, what would happen? Would his sister really be fine? The old doctor in front of Zhang Cation's father laughed loudly, and then said to Xiao Chen, can you see that you are still a man of affection and righteousness? I know that the emotions you have in this experimental building are incomparable to anyone else, but haven't you ever thought about it? Lin Feng may also use you to achieve his goal, such as this time you went to Zhang Cation's place to look for him. Have you ever thought about why Lin Feng could find the other party so easily? It's because you exposed your feet. Maybe Lin Feng knew all this long ago, but he said nothing. It is to catch you all in one fell swoop when you reveal your feet. So he was the real winner at the beginning. Why are you still working for him now? It's better to betray him, so that you and your sister can survive. Xiao Chen sneered after hearing this. I have to say that the lie you told is really true. It's a pity that no matter how true a lie looks, it is always a lie. You can deceive yourself but you can't deceive me. For example, I think if my sister really died in your hands, then there will naturally be laws to punish you, instead of using my own personal means to deal with you. If that's the case, then the world is in chaos. The old doctor didn't expect him to be so stubborn, because they had lived in this experimental building for such a long time, and they were inseparable during work hours. So the old doctor knew the guy in front of him best, how much he cared about everyone in his life, and at this time he was willing to give up his sister's life for that so-called sentence. So the old doctor still had a little respect for him, but that was all. He cared more about his son being hurt by Lin Feng and the guy in front of him. If he didn't take revenge, how could he be a qualified father? The old doctor shook his head, with a trace of regret in his eyes. Since you are so stubborn, I think I will get rid of your sister. Xiao Chen rushed up and stopped him, yelling at him loudly. Don't hurt my sister, get out of here. But no matter how he shouted, it was useless, because now the old doctor was really going to attack his sister. But at this time, a figure suddenly appeared behind the two of them, and that person was Lin Feng. I didn't expect that you, old doctor, are the person who hides the deepest in this experimental continent. However, I feel pity for what you said just now. Because you are really a very pitiful old father. You have done this for your son, but do you know that your son will know all this now? Will he be grateful to you? You have been away from him for such a long time. Even if you go back again, he will not think that what you have done for him is meaningless. He didn't know when Lin Feng appeared from behind him, but after hearing Lin Feng's voice, he became unwell. He said to Lin Feng loudly, you can compete with my son, but you actually beat him up and sent him to the hospital. Do you think I won't have revenge for all this? After hearing what he said, Lin Feng walked up and put the car keys in his hand on his desk. Old doctor, I have always respected you very much. You have been helping me with my research very seriously, so I admire you very much. But if you really want to retaliate against me because of your son's matter, then I can only say that you can't do this and will only make yourself fall into the abyss. Besides, your son probably hasn't contacted you for a long time. What's the point of doing this? Lin Feng felt that at least the old doctor could correct his attitude and admit his mistakes. At that time, Lin Feng could just fire him and not care about the other losses. Of course, Lin Feng would never forgive him for the document he just sent. This is completely different from Xiao Chen's nature. But after Lin Feng said this, the other party looked fearless and said to him, do you think that this will make me give up my revenge on you? Impossible. My son has suffered all these, so you have to suffer all of them. This is the best punishment for you. Old doctor, you are really joking. If you want to punish me, why don't you just get a few data wrong? But you chose this extreme way of revenge, which is really fatal to me. You also know that I am an entrepreneur and it is impossible for me to allow my business to fail. So, if you still resolutely refuse to admit your own mistakes and tell me which important file data have been sent out, then I can only use the power of a third party to intervene in this. But the old father of Zhang Yuxi in front of him, who was Lin Feng's doctor, said after hearing this, do you think that if you want to use the power of that party to suppress me, I will compromise obediently? Let me tell you, I did betray you for my son's matter, but in fact, all this is your own fault. If you hadn't done so many things to hurt my son, then I would have stayed in your laboratory and worked for you, but you are so cruel as an entrepreneur. Everything you have done is the greatest harm to me, an old father. In fact, after he said this, he sighed helplessly. He glanced at Xiao Chen next to him, and then said to him, you send your sister to the hospital first, and I will handle the matter of this old doctor myself. After saying this, Xiao Chen looked at Lin Feng with great gratitude, and then said, thank you, boss. I will definitely apologize for what I did when I come back. After Xiao Chen finished speaking, he quickly took his sister away from this experimental technology building, because he was afraid that if he was too late, he would lose his sister. Chapter 1281, Selfishness. After the people left, the old doctor sat down with a dejected look on his face, and then said to Lin Feng in a very indifferent manner, if you really want to send me to that place, then go ahead. I'm not afraid anyway. As for the information that has been passed on, I won't call you back. You owe my son everything, and I should use these to compensate? Lin Feng shook his head, because he felt that the old doctor's knot was too big, and it shouldn't make sense no matter what, so he sighed and said to him, if you think so, then I can only solve this problem through the power of a third party. After all, the grievances on our side shouldn't be so big. To put it bluntly, Lin Feng chose to use other forces to solve it because he respected him. Otherwise, it would be like dealing with Zhang Yuxi, beating him with a stick, which was impossible. The old doctor snorted, sat there and drank a sip of water very calmly. But in his heart, he had already become very regretful. He knew that Lin Feng was a very good boss. If he could be valued, then during this period of time, he could at least stay here and be promoted to a more senior doctor. But it was all ruined by himself, and it was his useless son who actually had his eyes on Lin Feng's wife, which caused all this to happen. So when he heard his son calling him just now, He decided to help his son, but he didn't expect that he would be discovered by Lin Feng in the end. He had to say that his son was really no match for Lin Feng. Seeing that Lin Feng had already started to make a call, the old doctor was not afraid at all. Instead, he stood up and stared at Lin Feng and said, "If my son could be half as good as you, that would be great. Unfortunately, now not only can I not help him, but I will also lose him forever." Lin Feng put down the phone and said to the old doctor, "I didn't call anyone just now. I wanted to tell you that I will never forgive you in this world, but I won't put you in jail either. This is my last bit of respect for you. I hope you can understand that all your contributions to me are rewarded." Until this moment, the old doctor felt deeply Lin Feng's kindness to him. It turned out that he was very kind to every experimental technician. But he betrayed him. This Xiao Chen was completely different, so he bowed deeply to Lin Feng and said, "I'm sorry." Lin Feng waved his hand. After all, too many things happened tonight. If he remembered his wife's betrayal of him, he would not be able to sleep tonight. "Old doctor, from now on you don't have to stay in this experimental technology building, but I can only tell you that the previous data are useless. You got a hope for your son and a chance to defeat me, so everything you did is in vain. Do you understand?" This was the only statement that the old doctor was unwilling to believe. He said to Lin Feng, "No, I don't believe what you said. If this is true, then why are you so anxious for me to get the phone back? Isn't it because you are worried that it will really fall into the hands of others? You say it's not important now, you are just putting psychological pressure on me." Seeing that he didn't want to believe it, there was no way at the time, so he clenched his hands and shook his head helplessly at him. "If you don't want to believe it, old doctor, then there is nothing I can do. After all, I am in this experimental building. So everything you said is true. I have never deceived any of you, neither you nor Xiao Chen." After hearing what Lin Feng said, the old doctor was immediately sick, but he still had a little hope and asked Lin Feng, "If what you just said is really true, then why did you ask me to take all the data back? If you really don't care about the data, then you shouldn't do this, right? This is deceiving me." Lin Feng's character in this. Everyone is indeed very clear. Needless to say, Lin Feng is a good boss, and he treats everyone well on weekdays. But the old doctor still keeps brainwashing himself in his heart, telling himself that what Lin Feng said is wrong. But after listening to it, Lin Feng shook his head and said, "It's not that you are stupid. Don't you know why I said that? I just want you to stop making mistakes, because if you insist on not changing your ways, then the data will always fall into the hands of a third party. It will be a trouble for you and your son at that time, but you are unwilling to give it to me now, so you have to be careful. If your son betrays you later, then I can't protect you." Lin Feng said everything he should say. After hearing what he said, the old doctor sat on the chair as if he had aged 10 years. Looking at Lin Feng's back, tears came out of his eyes. To be honest, Lin Feng has no blood relationship with him. But in the past few years, he has been much better to him than his relatives and his only son. But why did he betray Lin Feng for his son? And now he doesn't have as good an opportunity as Xiao Chen to stay with Lin Feng again, and there is no chance to start over again. Maybe all this is a disaster. After thinking about this, he quietly packed up his things and planned to leave. Seeing his distraught look, other researchers came over and asked him, "Wife, what's wrong with you? You look absent-minded. Did something happen? If you have any difficulties, then tell us and we will find a solution together." After seeing these people's concern for him, the old doctor felt even more sorry for Lin Feng. If he hadn't been too confused just now, how could he have betrayed Lin Feng? At this time, it was even more impossible for him to tell this ugly thing about himself, so he just smiled and shook his head and said to everyone, "When you are not around in the future, you must work hard for your boss. Now I am old and plan to retire." After hearing this, everyone found it unbelievable. How is this possible? "Old doctor, you have a very high status in our place. If you are not here, then when we newcomers make mistakes, who will lead us? Besides, even if you leave, it wouldn't be so sudden. You should at least tell me." After hearing this, the old doctor smiled and said, "I won't tell you now, but the boss may allow me to not pack my things tonight. I will take all my things away early tomorrow morning, and then you can see me in the future." Everyone is a scientific researcher, so basically everyone doesn't have much time to put down and waste. Saying goodbye in the future is actually a real farewell, so everyone was very sad after hearing it, and some people were about to cry. "Old doctor, What went wrong? If you made a mistake in the data, we will tell the boss. A good person like the boss will not let such a good seedling like you leave like this. That's right, old doctor, you have worked with us for so many years. We really don't want to let you go. Besides, you are still a few years away from retirement. Why don't you work for a few more years? But with you, we will all feel better. Seeing that everyone was so reluctant to let him go, he regretted it even more. Why did he betray Lin Feng for his own selfishness? Now he didn't even have the chance to regret it. At this time, he had already called his son. After Zhang Yuxi called, he heard the other party crying for his parents. Probably because he was too seriously injured, he was given an injection and an infusion by the nurse in the hospital. So even if he was a man in his 30s, he was still screaming in pain. Chapter 1282. Do you think I'm a fool? The old doctor looked very worried. He asked his son, how is it? Have your injuries healed a little bit? After Zhang Yuxi heard his father's concerned voice, he just said impatiently, then are you sure you can threaten Lin Feng? If that guy doesn't show some strength, I really can't swallow it. Hearing the other parties crying and questioning whether he could help, the old doctor was a little scared. Hearing that the old doctor didn't answer for a long time, Zhang Yuxi became a little impatient, so he yelled at him, didn't you help me with this? I knew that you, an old guy, are useless. I might as well ask someone else for help. After saying this, the nurse next to him gave him an injection, and then he almost cried in pain. Maybe the nurse also heard him talking rudely to his father on the phone, so he taught him a lesson. But after hearing his cry, the old doctor, as a father, just felt more distressed. So he lowered his head, looked helpless, and said to his son, if it weren't for helping you, I would never have left Lin Feng's laboratory. You don't know how good he is to me. It's all because of you. I've ruined my old face. Now you want me to target him? Just give up on this idea. I really won't help you do such bad things again. After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuxi took a breath in anger, and said with a chuckle, if you like Lin Feng so much, then you stay with him for your old age. Anyway, I, your son, am not worthy of your face. After saying this, Zhang Yuxi hung up the phone directly. He didn't want to say anything to his father anymore. Seeing him like this, the nurse next to him couldn't help it, and said to him, can you be nicer to your own father? People with your attitude shouldn't have such a good father. He did such a bad thing to you when you were in trouble. After saying this, the nurse glared at him fiercely before leaving. Zhang Yuxi threw all the things on his desk to the ground, and sneered at the nurse's back, you, a nurse, are not qualified to say such things to me. Believe it or not, I will complain to you, damn guy. After saying this, his hand hurt a little bit again. The force of the injection by the nurse just now was too strong, so his arm was very numb and painful. Zhang Yuxi is very pitiful now, because after sending him to the hospital, the man with flower arms had already left. How could he stay with him all the time? So he is now alone. Even the secretary of the president in the company has not come to visit him. When he heard that something happened, he ran away immediately. The secretary named Lisa went back to contact a detective under Lin Feng in a blink of an eye, but after knowing that the detective was actually deceiving herself, Lisa became a bad person. He roared at the detective loudly, you guys actually cheated me like this. I tell you I will never let you go. When I go back and tell our boss, I will let him teach you a lesson. After saying this, Lisa returned to Zhang Yuxi's office again, and saw Zhang Yuxi lying on the bed crying. He walked over cautiously and put the flowers in his hand. He went to Zhang Yuxi's desk and said to him with a very sympathetic look, boss. This is too pitiful. I really hate those people who beat you up like this. If I were there, I would definitely protect you desperately. After saying this, he originally thought that his boss Zhang Yuxi would be very moved, but in fact it was the opposite effect. Zhang Yuxi at this time, if he could make money, he should slap him in the face with a backhand and yell at him to get out. But Zhang Yuxi couldn't stand up, so he could only roll his eyes at the other person, and then said very ruthlessly, if you have anything to say, just say it quickly, and that person, get out. I don't have time to listen to your nonsense here. After all, he is the boss of the company. Even though he has been so badly injured, Lisa dare not be so presumptuous in front of him, so she can only hold her bag, stand in front of him, look very pitiful and said, boss, you must take charge of me immediately. This is because those detectives in the company have sneaked into our company, so they stole all the information. It was that person who did it, so we diverted my attention, so that you, boss, fell into Lin Feng's trap. I know all this and I blame myself very much. Boss, we must deal with those detectives, otherwise we can't rely on this. Lisa is still a smart person, so she knows very well, but now it is her boss Zhang Yuxi, the biggest enemy and the person he hates the most. If he can provoke a conflict between the two people, then it would be enough to let the other party come to avenge himself, and there were 5 detectives in the classroom, including the one he liked. But after Zhang Yuxi heard what he said, he looked at him speechlessly, and came over, looking at him with an idiotic look. Do you think I'm a fool? Don't I know about your affair with those detectives? You were so blatant in the company before, and many people saw it. Do you think I don't know? I just don't want to care about this matter today. And I don't have time to talk so much nonsense with you, and now you actually asked me to help you teach that man a lesson. Haha, do you think I'm that kind of fool? After saying that, Lisa suddenly became very scared, and then she knelt on the ground, facing Zhang Yuxi, who kept begging for mercy. Boss, you can't do this to me. I was just obsessed at the beginning, so I said that I betrayed you, but boss, I completely regret it now. I know that you are the best person to me in this world, and only you will buy me a bag. Only you will let me continue to be your CEO's secretary, and only you will let me thrive in this company. If I don't have you, then I will be mud, so boss, please give me another chance. I really have nothing to do with that person. It's just a cup of coffee. Hearing what Lisa said, Zhang Yuxi just snorted coldly, and then turned his face away, not wanting to say more nonsense to him. Doesn't the other party think he doesn't know? If it weren't for Lisa trying to drink a cup of coffee with the other party and not doing anything else, then he would have asked someone to cut him in the morning, so now Lisa can still kneel in front of him and admitted his mistakes. It was all because the child showed mercy to him. If it weren't for the fact that he had served her for many years, how could she let him go without telling her the truth? So Lisa's apology to him was too late. Zhang Yuxi didn't want to talk, but he had no choice but to kneel down on the ground. The floor was very cold, and he even started to tremble. Chapter 1283, A Wasteful Trip. Seeing Lisa's pitiful look, Zhang Yuxi was not impossible. He felt that this woman had been with him for so long, and she knew some information about him. It would not be good if he really made her fight to the death with him, so he said, "Get up. If this happens again next time, you should know what to do." Lisa was very grateful. Then she got up from the ground, and said to Zhang Yuxi gratefully in a somewhat coy manner, "Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. I will definitely remember this punishment today. I will not make such a mistake again, boss. Thank you for giving me a chance." Seeing him bowing his head and admitting his mistakes, although Zhang Yuxi did not believe him, he believed that as long as he could control how to treat this woman, then he could let her continue to do things for him, which was enough, so he nodded and said, "Okay, I won't bother with you so much. Now I have something for you to do. If you can do it well, wait, I will send you out after I leave the hospital." After saying this, the other party nodded, then said to Zhang Yuxi, "Mr. Zhang, as long as you are willing to forgive me, I can do anything you ask me to do." After saying that, his face turned a little red, and it seemed that he should have made some preparations. But Zhang Yuxi is not in such a mood now, so he shook his head and said, "What you are asking him to do now is very serious. Don't think about other things with me." After saying this, the other party blushed, and knew that he had said the wrong thing, so he nodded and said, "Okay, Mr. Zhang, I understand." So Zhang Yuxi called him aside and asked him, "You should know that I used to live with my father, and this time I got his news by chance. He actually worked in Lin Feng's laboratory, and because he helped me to get revenge this time, he was discovered and driven out by Lin Feng. But he didn't think about the time to come back. Okay, now you don't have to know too much about these things, you just need to help me take the old man back, and then tell him that his son will respect him well, and he doesn't have to stay in Lin Feng's place." In a low voice, "If he doesn't want to come back, forget it." It can be seen that Zhang Yuxi still has some feelings for his father. It's just that because his father didn't give him any good things before, he felt that he would be more important than the other party. Now his main purpose is to bring the other party back and let the other party enjoy the happiness of family life, because his current achievements are completely different from those decades ago. He did not care about his father decades ago, who abandoned his wife and children and left the family. Then he left himself alone, and only came back and showed his face now, So he felt that he had done all this, which was enough to make up for the other party's father-son relationship with him. If he could not find the other party again, then he also planned to give up. After hearing this, Lisa nodded and stood up. "Don't worry, boss. I will definitely complete this matter well." After he said this, he was driven out by Zhang Yuxi, because now Zhang Yuxi wanted to stay alone and didn't want to reminisce with Lisa. After the people left, Lisa was silently thinking about everything that happened just now in the elevator. It was a good thing. If she admitted her mistake a little later, it would probably not be the current ending. It is estimated that the other party will spare her life because she has served him for so many years. Otherwise, what will be the result of the school now? While he was relieved, he was also thinking silently that Mr. Zhang's father abandoned him 20 years ago, and now he suddenly reappeared, and was working beside Lin Feng. Is such a person really reliable? He couldn't completely say that he could trust the other party, nor could he say that he would bring the other party back. He simply didn't bring the other party back, and he also framed Zhang Yuxi's father. Just say that all the things he did were indeed for Lin Feng, and he didn't want to take Zhang Yuxi seriously, and had long forgotten his son. Zhang Yuxi would definitely be very angry when he said that. Lisa hooked the corners of her mouth. The person he hated the most now was the detective, so he hated everyone related to the detective. Lin Feng was the boss of the detective, but Zhang Yuxi's father was also an employee of Lin Feng's company. This was simply a chain of events for him, so he would never be merciful to those who could take revenge, not to mention that the guy chose to work for Lin Feng and would not come to help his son at all. Why should Zhang Yuxi be so obsessed with this, and not care about his father at all? So Lisa felt that his idea was not wrong at all, and he felt that he was helping Zhang Yuxi make this decision. So he called a car and drove to find the other party. Zhang Yuxi just told him the address, and Zhang Yuxi's father could be found in a scientific research building under Lin Feng. After he went there, he would definitely need to tell Zhang Yuxi what he said, but he would never make it clear. Thinking of this, he had already made up his mind. When he arrived outside the door of Lin Feng's company, he stopped the car and said to the security guard, "I want to continue looking for someone, please let me go." But the security guard looked at him, who looked like he was dressed very noble but had a bad temper, and shook his head and said, "Excuse me, young lady. Only people who work here can enter this place. No matter who you are here to see, even if you are here to see the boss, you must show your identity. Otherwise, you can only let the boss's people take you in. Otherwise we can't let you feel at ease." After saying this, Lisa scolded him a little unhappy. "Do you know how much I earn per hour? Security guards like you are not qualified to compare with me. If my time is delayed, can you afford to pay me? You can't even afford to pay for a whole day." After saying this, the security guard was also very angry. He just wanted to do his job well, but he was scolded by the other party. Such a woman is really disgusting. So he said viciously, "I say, young lady, if you don't leave, then we won't continue to talk nonsense with you here. If you want to shout, just shout everywhere." After saying this, he really turned around and left, feeling very angry. But he couldn't get angry at anyone, so he could only hold it in and wait here silently. When the people inside get off work, he can find a way to sneak in. Anyway, as long as he sees Zhang Yuxi's father, he can prove his identity. In this way, Lisa waited until the afternoon. The security guard saw that he had been waiting here for so long and didn't leave, and thought that he really had someone important. The security guard said to him, "If you want to go in, but you have to show me your ID card." After hearing what the security guard said, there was nothing he could do but show his ID card to the other party. But when the security guard heard that the person he was going to find was the old doctor, he had already started to calculate in his heart, because this woman basically didn't take people of his profession seriously, so why should he think about the other party? Even if he didn't tell the other party the real truth, wouldn't this guy just go in for nothing? So after taking a casual look at the ID card, he said to him, "Then go in, but I have to make a promise first. If you don't come out within half an hour after you go in, I will kick you out." Chapter 1284, Smile of Victory. Lisa nodded and said perfunctorily, "Don't worry, I'm only here to say one thing and leave. I promise I won't be here for more than half an hour." After saying this, she went in. After watching her leave, the security guard couldn't help but sneak up. Another security guard on duty next to him glanced at him. Then he couldn't help but teasingly said, "Do you want to chat up with her because she is a pretty girl and then be scolded by people all over the country?" After hearing this, the security guard almost vomited in one breath, so he said to him, "Which eyes of yours can tell that I like this girl? Your eyes are almost up to your head, how could I possibly like him? Even ordinary girls are much prettier than him. And the makeup he put on is so bright, who knows if he is a decent person?" The young security guard didn't have much knowledge, so he could only nod after hearing what he said, but he asked the older security guard, "But didn't we hear that the old doctor had already left our company? Why did you still tell him to go find someone upstairs?" After hearing what he said, the older security guard laughed. "If we didn't tell him like this, how could he think we were making fun of him? In fact, to put it bluntly, if Lisa hadn't understood the ways of the world just now and had been so rude in front of them, how could they not deliberately pick up someone who had already left? And he said that in this place, so these were all his own faults." He nodded after kicking the small stool. He thought his guy did a good job. But you have to be careful. Women like this usually have someone they depend on. If she takes revenge on you, it will be bad. After all, people like them who work as security guards are actually quite dangerous. If they offend someone they shouldn't offend, they will suffer in the end. After hearing what these young security guards said, they also found the security guard and shook their heads and said, "It's impossible. This girl doesn't look like a decent girl. She must have some unclear relationship with some rich people. Don't worry. Rich people are troublesome. Our company is protected by boss Lin Feng. Who dares to do anything to me?" After saying this, the other party also nodded, as if it was indeed the case. You must know that these employees working under Lin Feng have always been very safe, so they don't have to worry about their own safety. On the other side, from the time Lisa came in until now, he has not found any way to find the old doctor. He caught a person and asked, "Do you know where the old doctor is? His surname is Zhang, he should be the Dr. Zhang here." After hearing this, the other party shook his head, looked at him and said, "Girl, you are here to find our second fool, right?" Lisa looked very surprised, nodded and said, "Yes, I am here to find him. I have something important to say to him. Please take me to see him right now." But after hearing what he said, the other party showed a very strange expression and said to him, "Girl, don't you know? He left our building a long time ago, so our method of finding him now is useless. If you are his family, then he should have gone home a long time ago. You can contact him now." Lisa heard that the other party had resigned, and he became a little irritable. She didn't expect this guy to resign so quickly. She hadn't come to find him yet. How could he be like this? Wouldn't it be a wasted trip? How could he waste his time on such a useless person? "Okay, I'll leave first." Seeing him leave rashly, the other researcher shook his head and thought that this person was really strange. He came to look for someone but didn't find him and just left without asking where he went. Is this really the other person's family? It doesn't look like it, right? When Lisa left, he did not go back to the company directly, but called Zhang Yuxi directly, and said to him with a very aggrieved look, "Mr. Zhang, it's really not easy for me. I just went to find your father, but your father said that he would never come back to you, and he also said that the treatment he would give him would be more than the filial piety you gave him, so if he had a choice in this life, he really didn't want to be your father, and he also said." Before he finished speaking, Zhang Yuxi roared loudly into the phone, "Shut up, don't say anything more. That old Zhang, or since he doesn't want to come back, then don't come back forever, you get it now, come back, and never go to him again, do you understand?" After hearing this, Lisa's mouth showed a triumphant smile. He knew that the other party would say such a thing. He knew too well what kind of character Zhang Yuxi was. How could he blame the old guy for making him run so far? If it weren't for this, he wouldn't have made such a hateful decision, but since it had already been done, he would never admit it, so he put away his tears and said coquettishly to Zhang Yuxi on the phone, "Boss, just hold me tight and come back. I'm sorry that I didn't help you find your father." Zhang Yuxi also comforted him after hearing this, "It doesn't matter. It's his own business that the old guy doesn't want to answer. It's none of your business. Come back. I won't punish you." "Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss." Lisa felt that she was too smart. She didn't need to do anything else to get Zhang Yuxi's forgiveness. But he didn't know one thing, that if one day Zhang Yuxi knew that his father was wronged by him, and heard that his secretary lied, then how should he deal with it? But now Lisa couldn't care so much, she just felt that she had let out more breath of anger and felt very happy. So she returned to Zhang Caixin's hospital and exaggerated it to him, making the previous things even crazier. And the security guard was calculated. After hearing this, Zhang Caixin's face became more and more ugly. Finally, when he was about to lose his temper, Lisa finally stopped talking. So the matter was over. Chapter 1285, Admitting Mistakes and Correcting Them. On the other side. After Lin Feng returned home, he watched a movie with Zhang Yuxi. Then the two fell asleep. When Lin Feng came to the office the next day, he saw Xiao Chen waiting in front of him. He thought it was his punishment for him. Lin Feng looked at him and said to him, "It's been a long time since we have talked like this." At the beginning, Lin Feng felt that the other party was a very talented person. If he stayed in his laboratory, his future achievements would definitely not be lower than that of an old doctor. However, after this kind of thing happened, Lin Feng would definitely not let him off the hook. So even after Xiao Chen did something, he seemed uneasy. Lin Feng poured him a cup of tea and said to him, "If you really admit your mistake, then I can still do it again, but from now on, your position in the laboratory will definitely be doubted by everyone." Because after this incident, Lin Feng would never intend to help him hide it, and he would also tell everyone in the laboratory. If he continued to be like this, then there would be only one outcome, that is, being fired. At the same time, he was taken away by a third party. After hearing what Lin Feng said, Xiao Chen could not avoid any reluctance. Instead, he looked like he had let out a long sigh. Lin Feng was too kind to him, which made him feel uncomfortable. But now it seems that Lin Feng did not think so and gave him an answer. So he nodded and said, "If the boss can really punish me, then I can accept any punishment, as long as you can calm down." Because he understood very well that the damage caused to Lin Feng was very great, and it was also very bad for him. It was not only related to his future work, but also affected the safety of his sister. Lin Feng patted her shoulder, and said with a serious look, sighed, "If you could tell me the truth earlier, then maybe it wouldn't be like this now, so all this is your own fault, understand?" The other party nodded, lowered her head as if she knew her mistake. "If I could tell you earlier, maybe the sister I took away would be reunited for a long time. But at that time, not only was I unable to take this step in my heart, but I was also forced by Zhang Caixin. But now it's over, so boss, no matter what punishment you impose on me, even if you send me to prison, I think this is also a crime that I should bear, and you don't have to ask me if I will hate you." Lin Feng looked at his attitude of apology, which was very sincere, and he didn't seem to commit the same mistake again. So he nodded, and the matter was resolved. "Okay, now that everything is almost settled, can you go back to the lab building and continue to work? And as a punishment, you won't get any salary for half a year." After hearing this, the other party quickly stood up and apologized to Lin Feng, saying, "Great, boss, what you said makes me feel that this is the most beautiful language I have ever heard in this world." Lin Feng said to him, "Don't forget to add one more sentence. Not paying you salary does not mean that you two will really starve to death on the street, but we will provide you with dormitories and 3 meals a day. But only the most basic living expenses of 1,000 yuan per month. Other expenses will not be provided to you for half a year. Do you understand?" Lin Feng's words must be acceptable to the other party, but Lin Feng is not so cruel that he really won't give them a penny. Moreover, in the entire lab building, if anyone knew that the two people around them were so miserable, then there would definitely be someone to help them, and Lin Feng would not need to worry about it anymore. But Xiao Chen had never thought so much before, just felt that Lin Feng could forgive him now, which was his greatest luck. He almost knelt down to kowtow to Lin Feng, and asked, "How is your sister? She took the poison given to her by the old doctor yesterday. Is she okay in the hospital now?" After all, seeing the smile on Xiao Chen's face today, he could feel that his sister should be safe, so Lin Feng just asked as usual, and the other party nodded, "Thank you for your concern, boss. My sister is fine. She slept in the hospital after her stomach was washed yesterday. Anyway, she has become accustomed to living in the hospital, so she probably won't be able to leave the hospital for the next 1 or 2 months." Lin Feng nodded gently, thinking about it in his heart, and he planned to ask someone to send some screen readers to his sister later. Although Lin Feng asked Xiao Chen to atone his sins in his body and not let him get paid, it does not mean that he has no relationship with his two siblings. "Okay, you can go to work now, but you must explain your situation to your colleagues in the laboratory building that day. I can't control what they say about you, even if it is moral condemnation. That's what you should bear." These are your own words. Don't forget them. After getting Lin Feng's affirmation, he returned to the laboratory office building and saw all these colleagues waiting for him. Tears flowed from his eyes, and then he said to them, "Thank you. If it weren't for your belief that we were willing to wait for me to come back, then the boss would not be willing to give me such an opportunity. After I come back this time, I will definitely cherish the time with you." After saying this, other colleagues came up with flowers, and some came up with coke and drinks and hugged him. And said to him comfortingly, "If we didn't know that you were in trouble, we wouldn't have waited for you. Okay, don't say anything. We all know a little bit about what happened between you and your sister. Wasn't she kidnapped? Don't worry, our boss is very generous and will forgive the mistakes you made before." After listening to his sincere words, Xiao Chen also went up to hug him and said, "Good brother, thank you for your trust in me, but I did do a lot of things before. It's my luck to be forgiven by boss Lin Feng, so I will work hard to atone for my sins next." After saying this, everyone nodded, and they were very satisfied with his good character of being able to correct his mistakes. Then, they began to seriously study the batch of drugs that Lin Feng had just produced. At night, Zhang Yuxi's best friend called Lin Feng and said that something happened to Zhang Yuxi in school and asked Lin Feng to go over. Lin Feng thought that it was because of the previous incident with Zhang Qian, so he had a conflict with him again. So he quickly packed up his things and walked towards the school. Chapter 1286, Running in Both Directions. When he drove to the place, he found that Director Liu had prepared a surprise for him. Zhang Yuxi held his hand, and there were many relatives and friends around, especially his two childhood high school classmates. Lin Feng didn't quite understand. He touched his head and asked Zhang Yuxi, "What's going on? Did you prepare this surprise for me suddenly?" After saying this, Zhang Yuxi nodded, and said as if it was a matter of course, "Of course, if it wasn't a surprise prepared for you, how could I not know it until now?" Lin Feng's question made Zhang Yuxi chuckle, and then said to him, "You really are a noble person who forgets things easily. Do you know that today is the day when the two of us have known each other for almost 100 days, so you must celebrate, otherwise, why do you think I dragged you to this place?" Lin Feng nodded, touched his head a little embarrassedly, then smiled and said, "Well, in that case, then everyone tell me which bar or restaurant you want to go to tonight, and I'll book it." Lin Feng's generosity made everyone applaud. "Lin Feng, you really underestimate us. We just wanted to join in the fun, so we followed your girlfriend to this place to wait for you. Seeing you happy, of course I am very happy. Now you two go to eat and live your slow life. We will not join in the fun anymore." After saying these words, everyone dispersed. Only Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were left. Seeing that Lin Feng looked like he hadn't come back to his senses, Zhang Yuxi pushed him and said to him, "Why do you rarely stand in this place? Aren't you going to put the rings on me?" After he said this, Lin Feng saw that there was a pair of rings next to him. He took them out and looked at them, then nodded silently. Then he took out the diamond ring from the ring, took it into Zhang Yuxi's hand, put it on her hand, and said to the owner, "Wife, you are so beautiful. I bought you a pair of rings. I remember they were designed by the same designer you showed me when we went shopping last time. I heard that there are less than 100 people in the world who can buy this pair of rings. I didn't expect you to get them." After all, Zhang Yuxi didn't come from a poor family, so it was relatively easy for him to buy these rings. After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuxi laughed and said, "If it wasn't for the boss lady in our store saying this last time, I wouldn't have bought this pair of rings. Now you feel that this pair of rings is hard-earned. I asked several friends to bring me one back. He knew that the price of this pair of rings sold overseas is cheaper than in China. So when I asked someone to buy flowers, you gave them a bunch of gifts." After Lin Feng heard that he was so worried about this pair of rings, he couldn't help but excitedly made his hand and promised him, "Thank you, Yuxi. If it wasn't because you love me so much, then I don't know you have done so many things for me, but don't worry. As long as I am here, I will never let your efforts for me be in vain." After saying this, someone was waiting for Lin Feng's car to arrive on the side of the road. Because next Lin Feng's driver drove to pick up Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi. At this time, Zhang Yuxi asked Lin Feng in a somewhat strange way. He said, "I thought you didn't remember anything. It seems that you still know our 100-day anniversary." After hearing what he said, Lin Feng couldn't help pinching her little nose, and said to him, "How could I not remember the anniversary between the two of us? I just think that I told you this tonight. You'd better bring the surprise I prepared for you. But I didn't expect that you actually told me one step ahead of me and gave me such a big surprise, so I can only take advantage of the situation and take you with me. I have already arranged the place." After hearing Lin Feng's affirmation, Zhang Yuxi laughed very happily. He didn't expect Lin Feng to prepare a surprise for him. It seems that the two of them are running in both directions, and no one has paid more than the other. After thinking about this, he laughed happily and promised to Lin Feng, "Then our anniversary will be like today. You and I will prepare surprises for each other. Otherwise, it means that the other party has changed his mind." He thought Zhang Yuxi's agreement was quite interesting, so he nodded, took his hand and touched the ring on his hand, and then said in a tone like a hairstyle, "Don't worry, Zhang Yuxi, my heart for you will never change in this life. The surprise I prepared for you is coming soon. Don't say these words. It's better to show you." Lin Feng took Zhang Yuxi to the outside of a cafe. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi, "I checked the time. It's about 10 minutes before it arrives. Let's order a cup of coffee first." After hearing this, Zhang Yuxi nodded. Lin Feng called the waiter to stop him and Zhang Yuxi and ordered a cup of cappuccino. The two of them read magazines leisurely here. It happened that in such a short waiting time, another person arrived. "Hello, everyone. I am your favorite Sister Joe. This time I will broadcast live for you in a cafe in this popular check-in spot. Friends, are you happy?" Just across the street from Lin Feng, there was a young girl dressed very beautifully. She was holding her mobile phone in her hand and walked towards Lin Feng. She was talking to the people in the live broadcast room while walking. After seeing Lin Feng, his eyes lit up and he also said to the people in the live broadcast room, "Did you see that there is a very handsome little brother in front of the anchor, but there is a girl sitting next to him? It should be his girlfriend." They went to test his loyalty to his girlfriend. If everyone wants to see it, then they will brush it here. So at this moment, all the barrages are basically all brushed. Everyone really wants to see Sister Joe make a fuss about the affairs between other couples again. After all, there are too many people showing affection now, but there are too many fake loves, so there is an anchor like Sister Joe, which makes everyone feel very good. Not only can you see that those who rise in the world are for love, it can also help everyone avoid meeting such people. So although what Joji did was very bold and accompanied by the risk of retaliation, he also made a lot of money, plus he was good looking and had a sweet voice, so generally speaking, young couples would not be rejected if they wanted to test him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1287, Sour Grapes. The bullet screen in the live broadcast room was swiping like crazy. "Sister Joe, go quickly. If you can test that the guy really doesn't love the girl that much, then I will give you a rocket. The person above also thinks so. If this time their fake love can be tested, then I will give you 10 rockets. Everyone began to look like they were watching a good show, waiting for Sister Joe to go up and break up Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi. If Lin Feng knew that he was sitting in this place, he was actually stared at by an anchor, he would also feel very speechless. Soon Sister Joe came in front of Lin Feng, and as soon as she came, she directly pointed the screen at Nan's Hao and kept two people. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's eyes moved away from the magazine, and then looked at Joji lightly. At this moment, Sister Joe seemed to feel that this person had seen through all her defenses in her heart. He felt that this person was not only handsome, but also too aggressive, as if he was a top figure who had seen through the world a long time ago, but the person in front of him looked so young. How could he have such a strong aura? He shook his eyes, and then saw that the comments in the live broadcast room were all swiping. "Wow, this little brother is so handsome. I thought he looked like a star from a distance just now, but now he is much more beautiful than a star. And his girlfriend is also very beautiful. Could these two really be a very loving couple? Otherwise, Sister Joe, please don't test them anymore. No, the more glamorous people look on the surface, the more dirty they are behind the scenes. So I think these two people may not be as happy as we think. If you don't believe it, let Sister Joe test them. Didn't we also test that a top rich man had no feelings for his wife before? Have you forgotten that thing? Oh, yes, I remembered this matter. That top rich man actually had a mistress outside. He was not sincere to his wife at all. I think the young man in front of me should not look like a good person either. The person above, don't use your narrow vision to speculate whether your family is good or not. This boy looks so handsome, he must treat his girlfriend very well. I think your sister is just sour grapes. Anyway, in Sister Joe's live broadcast room, various dynamics are constantly refreshed, which makes Sister Joe very happy. Because there are many people in his live broadcast room, it means that he is very popular, so the possibility of getting rewards will be greater. So after he kept it a secret, he said to the people in the live broadcast room, "This time we are here to interview this young couple, and want to see how much this young brother loves his girlfriend." After saying this, Sister Joe gave Raymond Lamb a very sweet smile. He thought that this smile of his was enough to kill all men, whether they were straight men or philandering men. Seeing such a beautiful smile of his, he would feel very bright, so he was ready for Raymond Lamb to accept his interview next. So he said, "Young man, can we interview you about your daily life with your girlfriend?" Lin Feng looked at the beautifully dressed girl in front of him. She should be an outdoor anchor, and this interview would probably take more than half an hour to finish. So he shook his head. After all, he had just told Zhang Yuxi that the two of them had to wait for the driver to come. At most, it would take more than 10 minutes, or less than 20 minutes, to wait for someone. If they were to accept the interview at this time, wouldn't it be a waste of their time for the date? So Lin Feng clearly refused. "Sorry, we don't have the time." Sister Joe was hit hard after hearing this. How could it be possible? You know that her charm is effective for any man, but this man doesn't accept it? Not only Sister Joe, he himself was very surprised. Even the netizens in the live broadcast room thought it was impossible. They actually met someone who was unwilling to pay for Sister Joe's bill, so everyone started to make fun of it. I didn't expect that Sister Joe would have such a day. Sister Joe is completely dumbfounded. Look, I also think that she is dumbfounded. Maybe it's because of herself. I don't know that someone can reject her. Ha ha ha. In fact, I have long felt that there needs to be someone to strike a blow to this woman, to let her know that she can't make all men like her in this world. I just want to say that the guy opposite her did a great job. Everyone started to make fun of her. This time, Sister Joe had a bad experience, so everyone made Sister Joe feel a little embarrassed, but also with a sense of unwillingness to admit defeat. It's just that now these people feel that they have failed, so they must succeed. Even if he is rejected once, what's the big deal? At most, he can just make a move on the girl next to him. So he smiled and walked straight to Zhang Yuxi's side. After seeing his actions, Lin Feng frowned a little. He didn't expect that this anchor was so unwilling to listen to others and actually bypassed him and went to find Zhang Yuxi. He didn't want Zhang Yuxi to be disturbed, and when he stood up to stop her behavior, Zhang Yuxi said to him, "Okay, husband, aren't we just accepting an interview? Don't you have to be so unhappy? Besides, it's not easy for a girl to come for an interview in such a hot day. Let's give her some face, okay?" Lin Feng nodded, and he looked at Zhang Yuxi with a doting look on his face. He didn't feel pity for Sister Joe at all, but because Zhang Yuxi's words made her happy. Otherwise, Lin Feng would have taken Zhang Yuxi away. Sister Joe was also a little stunned. She didn't expect Zhang Yuxi to take the initiative to speak for herself, and Lin Feng actually listened to what he said. Could it be that this couple is really not like the people interviewed before? Sister Joe had such doubts in her heart, and then she smiled and said to Zhang Yuxi, "Miss, you are so nice. Thank you for accepting my interview. I wonder if your boyfriend can cooperate." Sure enough, the success rate of taking action on women is still higher, so he couldn't help but look at Lin Feng, who had obviously rejected him just now. I don't know if Lin Feng will be willing to cooperate at this time. This is entirely for Zhang Yuxi's face, so Lin Feng nodded and said coldly, "If you can be faster, then we can pass." After saying this, Lin Feng came over and took Zhang Yuxi's hand, and the two of them sat together. He said to Sister Joe, "Ask as soon as possible if you have anything you want to ask. We have other things to do later." Chapter 1288. The topic is getting more and more sharp. After hearing what he said, Sister Joe just curled her lips. Because she felt that this man must be a successful man. So she didn't like others to disturb his time, so the question came. After Sister Joe smiled, she asked Lin Feng, "If your girlfriend asked you to choose between work and shopping, which one would you choose?" After hearing this, Lin Feng looked at him with some doubts, probably thinking that such a question was too boring. Is it necessary to ask this? He answered without thinking, of course I will accompany my girlfriend shopping. After hearing his answer, Sister Joe smiled even deeper, as if there was more meaning in it. Just when both of them felt something was wrong, Sister Joe asked again to their shooter, so now, little brother, are you willing to accompany your girlfriend shopping instead of going to work? Generally speaking, when asking such a question, the other party will be surprised, because the guests being interviewed generally did not expect that the topic would turn so quickly, and a more difficult question came all of a sudden. But after listening to him, Lin Feng felt that the question he asked was too boring, and said impatiently, of course I am willing to accompany my girlfriend. I don't need to go to work now. Today is our 100-day anniversary together, so I plan to take him on a date. And it is because of your interview that we have wasted time now, so I hope you can finish it quickly before our car comes, okay? Sister Joe showed a slightly embarrassed smile, because she didn't expect the other party to actually hire a car to pick him up. If this is the case, then he really needs to complete the interview as soon as possible. Otherwise it would delay other people's date, but his questions became very sharp. Then I wonder how much money you are willing to spend, little brother, to celebrate this anniversary with your girlfriend today. After hearing what he said, Lin Feng laughed and said, I think this should be my own privacy. If I tell you, then there will be no surprise for my girlfriend, right? And my girlfriend doesn't care about money. After hearing what he said, Sister Joe became excited, because what he wanted was that the other party would be reluctant to spend money, but now it can be seen that although Lin Feng said he was willing to prepare a surprise for his girlfriend, but he was unwilling to spend too much money on his girlfriend. In that case, he looked at Zhang Yuxi and asked her, you heard it too, right? Miss, your boyfriend just said that he thinks you don't care about money. Is that true? Or is it that he doesn't want to spend money on you, so you have become so sensible over time? After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuxi smiled gently, leaned on Lin Feng's shoulder, and said to Sister Joe in a very kind manner, it's not because my boyfriend is unwilling to spend money on me, but because his relationship with me is already very generous. We are willing to spend money on each other, like the diamond ring on my hand. This is a gift I just gave to my boyfriend. I bought one for each of us from abroad. After seeing the diamond ring during the live broadcast, netizens at the scene also thought it was very beautiful. One of them said loudly, you may not know how expensive this diamond ring is. This is a top-level diamond ring set by a foreign royal family. Only 100 people in the world can buy it. I didn't expect that they could actually wear it. If this is not fake, then at least it means that this girl's family background is at least hundreds of millions. After hearing this, everyone exploded. Everyone in the live broadcast room asked Sister Joe to continue asking questions to this girl, and Sister Joe also grasped the most critical point. That is, this girl is a very rich person, so the boy, that is, Lin Feng, is this person really rich, or does he rely on the money given to him by his girlfriend? So he smiled again and asked Zhang Yuxi. Your boyfriend just said that he doesn't care who you two spend money on, so the pair of diamond rings you just mentioned were actually bought by you from abroad, so you spent a lot of money, sister. The people in our live broadcast room have already looked at it. This diamond ring is not only in the country, but also in the world. Only 100 couples can afford it, so your family assets must be hundreds of millions, so why did your boyfriend buy you this pair of diamond rings? Is it because your family can't afford it? Or for other reasons? To be honest, Sister Joe also gave Lin Feng a little face. He thought that he would be more sharp when asking questions in the past. If it was someone else who was beautiful and so handsome, he might just ask Lin Feng directly if he lived on Zhang Yuxi's money. So he was so lenient now, and everyone in the live broadcast room started to tease, I didn't expect that Sister Joe would show mercy to others one day. That won't do, Sister Joe. If the other party is a scumbag, then wouldn't it give him more time to harm the young lady? That's right, give me such a beautiful young lady, I will definitely treat her well, and give me 10,000 yuan pocket money every month is enough. After saying this, of course, many netizens in the barrage beat him up severely. Sister Joe would naturally keep holding on to this topic. Could it be that, young lady, you are going to explain whether your boyfriend really loves you or is pretending to love you? After hearing this, don't talk about Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't want to show any expression to Sister Joe at all. Zhang Yuxi just covered his lips and laughed. He felt that the rich man in front of him was too naive, and might be very sharp for other probabilities. But for them, this was a very important question and there was no need to answer it, so Lin Feng turned his face away. But this made Sister Zhou feel that she had guessed correctly. She was just asking Lin Feng to answer this question. Lin Feng said to him speechlessly, "To tell you the truth, I have my own company. Let me explain what my wife didn't say clearly just now. She said that we both gave each other gifts. The ring he gave me was because he secretly asked one of his foreign designers to bring it back without my knowledge. And I'm waiting for the sports car to come and take him to the place where we have dinner and then go out to play. All of this is prepared by me, and we both prepared surprises for each other. Are you satisfied with the answer to this question?" Hearing that the other party actually hired a sports car to pick up his girlfriend, he could indeed afford the price, but Sister Zhou asked with a puzzled look on her face. He continued, "We do know that you are qualified to spend such money, but we are more curious about whether the money you spend is your girlfriend's or your own, or whether you can see if the company has your girlfriend's original investment." Sister Zhou felt that her topic was getting more and more sharp, but this had to be given to him by Lin Feng. This good material could make him become more popular. Lin Feng couldn't stand it after hearing it. "I think you have too many questions. Did you see the sports car coming that day? Or you can ask the driver of your sports car what to call me." After saying this, Sister Zhou took her mobile phone and pointed it at the blue Maserati. Everyone saw that when the Maserati came in front of them, a man in a suit got out. He was also very handsome, about 25 to 30 years old. People nowadays began to talk, "I didn't expect that he was a high-quality man. He looks young, handsome, and has a sports car. I don't think this man is a rented driver," as the young man said. "Right. I always feel that this car belongs to him." Chapter 1289 An Ordinary Couple. Afterwards, many comments echoed this. "I also think that this person looks more like the owner of his car, not a driver. If the driver is so handsome, then I hope I can be with such a driver." Some netizens naturally think that what Raymond Lam said is false, so everyone is full of curiosity, and now Sister Zhou also thinks that this live broadcast is becoming more and more interesting. Originally, she planned to pick a good-looking Raymond Lam and her girlfriend to ask some questions, but she didn't expect that the effect of the live broadcast was much better than she had imagined, so she became excited. Lin Feng looked at him and said, "Come and tell these people who I am. I may be busy today." As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, the driver understood what he meant. He immediately understood when he saw that the other party was broadcasting live, and then bowed to Sister Zhou and said, "Miss, I'm sorry, our boss is going to celebrate the anniversary with his girlfriend, so can you end your live broadcast here?" After hearing this, Sister Zhou was stunned. Because from the other party's temperament and conversation, it can be seen that it is not as they guessed, and it is possible to lie. Because people with real qualities are very polite to ordinary people, so after hearing what the driver said, Sister Zhou first felt hot on her face. Unexpectedly, all this is really as he said. He has money just now, but he doesn't need money to prove that he loves his wife, so this matter also made Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi have a reversal. Zhang Yuxi leaned against Lin Feng and said gently, "Hubby, don't bother with this anchor. He is here to interview us with good intentions. We are in a good relationship now." After Lin Feng heard Zhang Yuxi say this so gently, he nodded and said, "Okay, wife, I will listen to you. If you don't want to use this matter, then I won't settle the score. It's not a big deal. It's just that you have already asked all the questions you should ask as anchor. Now our people are here. We should go to our own world of two. Please don't disturb us anymore." This was the last time Lin Feng said this to Sister Zhou politely. If the other party still didn't agree, then Lin Feng didn't need to give her face. Of course, he didn't think he was such a shameless person, so he could hear that Lin Feng was already a little impatient. He nodded and said with an embarrassed look, "It is really my honor to interview you two. I didn't expect you to be such a loving couple, so I am really sorry to disturb you today." Zhang Yuxi shook her head and said to her very gently, "It's okay, you just want to know more about the ordinary life of normal people. We are just an ordinary couple. You have understood it now. Thank you to all the viewers in the live broadcast room for seeing us." The audience in the live broadcast room really liked Zhang Yuxi's good temper. Even the girls couldn't help but envy her. "If I had such a good temper, maybe my boyfriend would not leave me. Woo woo woo, I miss my ex so much now. Yes, I also think it is easier to be a gentle girl. He likes it more. Look at the little brother next to him. He is so handsome, talented and capable, but his girlfriend is so gentle. It's all my fault that I am too much of a tigress. Everyone felt that the couple Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi who showed their love were more appetizing. Everyone was full of dog food, so they didn't bother Lin Feng and the others anymore. Sister Zhou saw that Lin Feng's car had already left. She still had some expectations in her heart, and then the netizens in her screen live broadcast room joked. Sister Zhou, don't have any more expectations. You and the world of the rich and handsome guy are completely different worlds, and you are not as pretty as his girlfriend. It's useless to be jealous here. Many people teased Sister Zhou for fun and said, that's right, I saw that Sister Zhou didn't look eager to leave the car, but what does this have to do with him? Ha ha ha. Everyone felt that Sister Zhou was very pitiful and couldn't help but tease her. Seeing Sister Zhou about to cry, they were even happier. However, there were also many local tyrants who were willing to give him rewards, because this time they could see such a good love in the world. There was a sense of comfort in their hearts. It's not that they can only accept all the beautiful love in the world in their hearts, and the happiness of the moment when it was exposed, but everyone also had some questions about whether it was really online. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were in the car, listening to the music in the car. Lin Feng held Zhang Yuxi's hand and said, there's no need to, because the young master just now didn't say so many nice things. In fact, I can understand what he meant. I was so angry just now just because I wanted him to finish this interview quickly. Zhang Yuxi smiled shyly, then leaned on Lin Feng's shoulder and raised her head. He stared at Lin Feng's face and said, that's because I don't think we need to be so rude to others. After all, his interview is not really directed at us, but he wants to know how many loving couples there are in this society who are actually not loving. Lin Feng nodded after listening, took her hand and continued to discuss. He said, rather than saying that he is using all kinds of difficult methods to ask others whether they are happy or not, it is better to say that they are thinking about how to break up a couple. Think about it, if we are a very ordinary couple now, and I really have a meeting at work to be busy, but I get our 100-day anniversary, so I definitely don't have the time to accompany you. Will you quarrel with me? Zhang Yuxi listened to Lin Feng asking such a childish question. He laughed unexpectedly, and then covered his mouth and giggled. After she finished laughing, she looked at Lin Feng who was full of curiosity and said, you just said that the questions people asked were useless, so why don't you ask the same question now? After hearing this, Lin Feng also laughed, then hugged Zhang Yuxi and said, yes, it was the question I didn't dare to ask at night as you said. No matter what, we will be as loving as we are now. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said to Lin Feng, although I know that it is impossible for the two of us to be shared by others, I still want to tell you that even if there really comes a day in this world that the two of us will become paupers, my love for you will be affected. Now it is really reliable, so don't worry. Chapter 1290 Feed you a sip of soup. The sweet and happy look of the two people caught the attention of the driver in front. He also interjected with envy, and then said, you two young lovers are really enviable. I have to say that the anchor just now was stunned when he interviewed you. I guess he has never interviewed a couple as happy as you. After saying this, Lin Feng and Liu Chu also felt happier, because they really liked each other. Lin Feng said to the driver, let's go to the restaurant first. After all, after wasting a little time just now, it will probably be late if we go there now. After Lin Feng finished speaking, the driver nodded and continued to drive forward in this direction, and then they arrived at a very high-end restaurant. The dishes that Lin Feng and his friends came to this place to eat were not foreign dishes, but local dishes, so after they entered, they were treated by a very enthusiastic chef. When the chef saw that Lin Feng was a rich man, he was not afraid at all, but welcomed him in. You two came at the right time today. Our restaurant is having a discount today for the 30th anniversary. So if you are here for a festival, you can also get a discount. After hearing what he said, Lin Feng and the landlord nodded. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi, it seems that we have found a good restaurant. After Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi walked in, they first tasted the first dish, which was a bowl of soup made by the chef. Because this bowl of soup is said to be made of nearly 50 kinds of ingredients, and the portion is not much, but it tastes really good. After Lin Feng scooped a bowl of soup for Zhang Yuxi, he took a spoon and fed him, saying to him, come. I'll feed you a sip of soup. Seeing that there was a chef next to them, Zhang Yuxi looked very embarrassed and said to Lin Feng, forget it, I'd better drink it by myself, you don't have to feed me. But seeing him so shy, Lin Feng thought he was a little cute, so he touched her hair and said to him, If you don't drink this spoonful of soup I gave you, then you are not giving me face. After saying this, Zhang Yuxi shook her head helplessly, sighed and said, in that case, then drink it. Lin Feng looked at him with a reluctant look, and said with a sigh, I didn't expect that my wife would dislike me today. I thought today is the 100th anniversary of our acquaintance, so you would give me some face, and no matter what we do today, we should do it for each other, but I didn't expect you to disappoint me. After saying this, Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng apologetically and said, I'm sorry, husband, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have refused you. Now you feed me, I will definitely drink the soup you feed me. The chef next to them couldn't stand it anymore. The two of them were being so affectionate, so he sighed and quietly slipped into the kitchen. After all, he was feeling uncomfortable now. They had a dedicated chef for 2 people at the table, so every dish that was made next was made for the 2 of them separately. Lin Feng said to him, did you see that? The chef just now thought that you didn't drink the soup I made, which was really disrespectful to me, otherwise he wouldn't have escaped. Zhang Yuxi slapped him speechlessly, and then said, how is it possible? Don't talk nonsense here. The chef just now couldn't help but tease you because the 2 of us said such mushy words here. If he says such words when he comes again, he probably won't want to cook for us. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi both laughed. The 2 of them didn't plan to contact anyone today, so there was a phone call at this time. Lin Feng just put the phone aside and didn't plan to answer the call. Zhang Yuxi said to Lin Feng, otherwise, you should answer the phone, otherwise I'm worried that someone important will call you and you will miss it. Lin Feng shook his head, stared at Zhang Yuxi's face very angrily and said, if it's not your business, then I don't want to know anything, because no one in this world is more important to me than you. Zhang Yuxi blushed and lowered her head. Because normally, once Lin Feng started to say love words, it was a very embarrassing thing for him, and it made him feel too shy. So Lin Feng quickly fed him another mouthful of soup, because he knew that Zhang Yuxi's face was more conservative, and it would be better to give him a mouthful of soup than to say more sweet words. So after he drank the bowl of soup, Zhang Yuxi couldn't help but scold him. I feel a little full now, how can I eat later? Lin Feng turned on the screen projection in front of them and said to him, at worst, let's watch a movie first. Anyway, we have booked this place. After eating here today, we can rest for a while. Because there are lounges for rest in such large restaurants, he and Zhang Yuxi can stay, which is also a more thoughtful service. Zhang Yuxi nodded, and then the 2 of them watched a more romantic love movie. Zhang Yuxi lay beside Lin Feng and gently leaned on his shoulder. After a while, she went out and sobbed because she saw this love movie. Both the male and female characters looked like they were about to part forever, and he felt very heartbroken because his love with Lin Feng was sweet now. It was really unacceptable to accept such a very sad plot, so Lin Feng comforted him and said to him, at worst, we can just skip this part, okay? He was about to skip a part of the film, but Zhang Yuxi saw it and stopped him, and said to him, but I want to watch this part, otherwise, how can I see how the 2 of them love each other so deeply in the back? After hearing this, Lin Feng shook his head helplessly, and said that he really didn't understand what girls were thinking. They obviously couldn't stand such a sad plot, but they couldn't help watching it. And he was muttering in his mouth, with a very good reason, okay, since you like it, then you can continue to watch it, but don't cry my shoulders for a while. Zhang Yuxi eyed him with her little fist, and then continued to watch. At this time, Lin Feng saw the figure of a chef outside, holding a bowl of food in his hand. Lin Feng gave him a look and told him to put it aside temporarily and not to get close to Zhang Yuxi, because it would disturb Zhang Yuxi's mood. Of course, the chef himself also knew how to take care of the guests, so he followed Lin Feng's instructions, served the dishes, and then slowly retreated. Chapter 1291, Being Jealous of Your Daughter. It was not until halfway through the movie that Lin Feng said to him, baby, can I get you something to eat now? Otherwise, you'll be hungry later. After Lin Feng said this, Zhang Yuxi nodded, because she was so moved by the plot of the movie that she didn't pay too much attention to Lin Feng. So she let Lin Feng go. Lin Feng got up quietly, then took care of the sofa, picked up some food from the table with dishes, and then walked over to look at Zhang Yuxi, looking at him eagerly. At this moment, there were still tears in Zhang Yuxi's eyes that had not been wiped away. She looked pitiful, and had a very fragile beauty. Lin Feng couldn't help but kiss her forehead. But at this time, Zhang Yuxi suddenly hugged her and said to him, did you see it just now? The boy in the movie is so nice to the girl. I think the girl is happy to be with a boy who has been her childhood sweetheart since she was a child, and she is also with him. This is the greatest happiness in her life." After saying this, Lin Feng, who is a good person, said with some jealousy, "Don't you think that you and I are not confidants and the best couple?" Zhang Yuxi couldn't help but smile and said, "Can you not make a big deal out of it? I just said that I envy them, not that we are not living well." After hearing what he said, Lin Feng wanted to talk to him deliberately. "Anyway, I don't care. You girls are always so insecure, but you don't listen to my explanation. Now why can't you tell me that I don't give you enough sense of security?" On such a good day, of course it is impossible to quarrel with Zhang Yuxi. I just want to take the opportunity to learn from Zhang Yuxi. After all, in such a modern society, most girls have a very biased treatment of their partners. A very normal phenomenon is that if a girl watches a movie, she will tell her boyfriend how much she hopes she can be like the female character in the movie and receive all kinds of good things from her boyfriend. But if a boy tells his girlfriend that he saw a long-legged beauty in the movie and how good she is, then he will definitely be scolded by his girlfriend. If it is a little worse, he will be beaten. So Raymond Lam feels that the world is unfair, but it seems that there is one thing that Zhang Yuxi will never do. For example, now, even if Zhang Yuxi thinks that the interaction between the two characters in the movie is very good, she did not exaggerate and talk about it in reality. So Raymond Lam just likes Zhang Yuxi for this point. She is not only smart and beautiful but also very sensible. There are only a few girls in this world who have such advantages and advantages at the same time. Being able to be with a girlfriend like Zhang Yuxi is simply a lifetime of luck. I don't know why Zhang Yuxi couldn't get angry after looking at Raymond Lam's doting eyes. She still used her little fist to hit Lin Feng's chest, and then said to him, "I didn't say that things would turn out like this between us. I just think this movie is better, so I want to discuss it with you. If you really don't like me discussing with you, then I won't say anything, okay?" Lin Feng couldn't help but tease him anymore. So Lin Feng said to him, "I was joking with you during the live broadcast just now, because I was also learning from some girls on the internet who were unreasonable with their boyfriends. You didn't get angry just now. It seems that I really found a good wife." Looking at Lin Feng's smiling face, Zhang Yuxi reacted for a while. He said why he felt that this scene was very familiar just now. Isn't this the way his classmates and some of his less familiar friends get along with his boyfriend? Lin Feng actually used that to his advantage. He really did not know whether to laugh or cry. Then he looked down at Lin Feng and said to him, "You actually dared to tease me like that just now. Good, you're brave now, huh? Hubby, I want you to feed me." Originally the tone was quite fierce and cute at the beginning, but suddenly it turned into asking Lin Feng to feed him, and instantly he became like a soft little lamb. The cute Lin Feng touched her hair and said, "Okay, I'll feed you for the rest of my life, even if I'm 100 years old." Hearing Lin Feng's promise, Zhang Yuxi immediately said to him seriously and clearly, "This is what you said, you are not allowed to regret it. If you dare to regret it in the future, I will not forgive you." Lin Feng nodded. "Even if we have only known each other for a period of time, we have become the most important people to each other, so I will never betray you in this life. Come and eat some ribs, these ribs are well cooked." Zhang Yuxi took a bite very politely, and then proudly praised Lin Feng, "But I think the dishes cooked by this chef are not that good. They are not as delicious as the ones cooked by you, my husband, at home. I still miss the dishes you cook." Lin Feng laughed. Of course, no man would not feel unhappy to be praised by his wife like this. However, he comforted his wife. Zhang Yuxi said, "But today is a good day for us to celebrate the festival. Don't worry, if you really want to eat it, then I will make it for you every day in the future." "No, I can't make it for you every day. I have to change it for you." After saying this, Zhang Yuxi and Lin Feng continued to eat the ribs here. Watching the movie was almost at the end. Zhang Yuxi watched more attentively. Lin Feng fed her mouthful by mouthful, as if he was feeding his own daughter. Lin Feng couldn't help but said to Zhang Yuxi, "If we have a little daughter in the future, do you think she will learn to watch TV while eating like you do?" After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuxi pointed at him somewhat unhappily and said, "If we really have a daughter in the future, you are not allowed to let her eat while watching a movie. Otherwise, you are being so nice to another woman besides me." Lin Feng was a little surprised and couldn't help laughing. "Are you sure? You are even jealous of your own daughter." Zhang Yuxi put her hands on her slender waist, and said to Lin Feng in a very domineering manner, "That's right, we are even jealous of our own daughter. But why don't we have a daughter now? It's no use saying these things. You can continue to feed me pork ribs next time. Looking at Zhang Yuxi, who looked arrogant and cute, Lin Feng shook his head, and then continued to serve him the pork ribs. Finally, the movie was finished, because half of the dishes on the table were cold, but the chef just took them over and heated them up. And half of the dishes were not served yet. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi with a tone of command, "Okay, now the store is closed, you should have a good meal with me." Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were happily eating their lunch together. They should have enjoyed a good time, but suddenly there was a very noisy sound outside, and the voice of the manager who received them came. "I said, Miss, you can't choose to go in. This place has been booked. If you really want to eat here, please come back tomorrow." Maybe this person is really not to be offended, so until now when the woman has been walking towards this private room, the other party only dared to say this in her mouth. But she didn't dare to touch him, which made Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi a little confused. Who is this person who has such great power? At this time, Lin Feng's face revealed a very dissatisfied expression. Chapter 1292, The Turn of Times. Because Lin Feng felt that since he had spent money in this place and booked the place, the people here should give him the best service unconditionally. He felt that this kind of interruption should not happen, and if it happened, it meant that their service was not good at all, and he would never patronize this place again. This was not because Lin Feng was too picky, but because this was what these people should do, so Lin Feng comforted Zhang Yuxi and said, "Let me go out and see what happened first, and I will come back later, okay?" Zhang Yuxi nodded, and watched Lin Feng leave very gently and obediently. In fact, he didn't care that much, but the woman outside didn't seem to be easy to deal with. He also thought of the private room in this place, but it was impossible for him and Lin Feng to leave. The two of them still had to eat here today, so how could they go out of this private room in vain? So it was naturally best for Lin Feng to deal with the problem, but when Lin Feng just went out, he saw a woman in a white dress who looked fashionable and retro walking over, her eyes full of arrogance. It seemed that no one looked down on her. She was indeed a rich girl. But in front of boys, there was no difference. Apart from his wife, other women were useless. So he laughed and said, "I didn't expect to meet someone from the Lu family in this place. So, considering that I know your chairman, can you give me this private room today?" Lin Feng recognized the other party's identity at a glance. The rich girl in front of him was still a little surprised. But he soon discovered that Lin Feng must have recognized her from the badge on his clothes. Because every member of the Lu family has shoelaces, the badge of their own family. If they don't carry it, it also means that they are unwilling to join the family and will be removed from the list. So no matter what kind of equipment or clothes they have, as long as their family members find out that they are not wearing the badge, then there will be a very, very serious consequence. And Lin Feng was able to recognize it at a glance, and it was indeed because he had seen the world and knew his family, but it did not mean that Lin Feng must know the chairman of his family, not to mention the chairman. But his grandfather Lin Feng was only a junior, how could he get to know him so easily? The rich girl looked unconvinced and said to Lin Feng, "Who said this place is first come first served? In the past, it was easy for me to have a meal here. Why do you have to book this place this time?" Seeing the rich girl's face full of dissatisfaction, Lin Feng smiled helplessly, then spread his hands and said to him, "That's because my wife and I are celebrating the festival here today, so I can only book this store. Otherwise, if someone disturbs us, I will be very happy." After hearing what he said, the rich girl in front of him said with disdain, "What kind of festival is easy to celebrate? You have to book the whole store. Why can only you come later? Anyway, no matter what I want to eat, you have to order dishes for me here, otherwise I will smash this store. Anyway, this store also has a part of our family's shares, it's not like we can't afford to pay." After saying this, that kind of thing is really a headache, because he has never accepted such a willful young lady. Of course, Lin Feng would not let him go because he thought that this woman was from the Lu family, so he would usually say that to her. "This is also because of your identity, so I give you face. Don't be ungrateful and don't think that you don't care just because you are from the Lu family. If you offend me, then I can also let your family be the life inside, believe it or not." What Lin Feng said was not alarmist, but true, because he knew that most of the people in the family who really had power would not be like the rich girl in front of him. Such emotional intelligence must have its own means to talk to him. Therefore, People who only use the power of the family to speak are more or less not such powerful people in his family. At most they are just a person he keeps. So Lin Feng did not take the rich girl in front of him seriously, and it was not a casual move. It was because after thinking about it, he just felt that the other party's value was not that high. But after hearing what he said, the other party was very angry and said loudly to him, "Don't think that you are great just because you are a powerful boss. If you offend me, you will know that you are even more powerful than offending other people in our Lu family." After saying this, even Lin Feng himself was frightened by the other party. He didn't expect that the other party would dare to say such a cruel word. It was really not simple. However, he didn't believe it and said in a speechless manner, "Okay, don't threaten me here. Anyway, there's only one sentence. Either leave now, or I will let the security guard drive you away immediately. It depends on your choice. It must be said that the security of this place is good. As long as he comes out as the person who blocked the place, he strongly asks their adults to drive the rest away, and he can definitely do so because he has such a right." So after he said this, the face of the rich girl in front of him also became very ugly, because he himself has used such power. At the beginning, when he wanted to have a good meal here with his best friend, he gave the order to the restaurant, asking everyone to evacuate within half an hour, otherwise the restaurant would be in trouble. As a result, this sentence really came true casually, so that he still feels that he has such a right as a young lady, but he didn't expect that the situation would change. One day, it turned to him, and he stared at Lin Feng stupidly. "Shut up, how dare you talk to me like that? Okay, then tell me your name. What's your wife's name? I'm going to go back and ask my grandfather if he really has a friend like you and any cooperation." Chapter 1293 It's Your Own Fault. After saying this, Lin Feng looked at the other party in surprise. She didn't look like the child of a Ponzi scheme, otherwise, she wouldn't look down on him. If the other party is really the one at the helm who said that to you, then it might be a bit troublesome. Because the other party is indeed a very good friend of mine. And if the other party speaks up, then the other party's granddaughter should be more accommodating. After all, there are business dealings. But this rich girl in front of him is really a bit troublesome. She has to make trouble for the 100-day anniversary of himself and his wife. Can she change to another time? Even if it is another time, as long as his wife is not there, Lin Feng can be a gentleman and give the things to the other party. Don't worry that the other party didn't think so, but instead thought it was very reasonable. Therefore, Lin Feng also felt that there was no need to spoil the other party. As the saying goes, you have to act quickly, so Lin Feng took out his mobile phone and called the Lu family. After calling, he really heard the voice of an old man, and Lin Feng said to him, "I heard that you have a granddaughter, and now she seems to tell me in front of me that she wants to compete with me for the right to eat in a restaurant. What do you think I should do with him?" After Lin Feng finished speaking, the rich lady opposite him was dumbfounded. She never thought that Lin Feng's identity was so powerful, so he became a little scared. You know, in this family, even his parents are afraid, but the only one he is afraid of is his grandfather. From childhood to adulthood, his grandfather's attention to him has been particularly strict. He only gets angry and makes things difficult for people around him when his grandfather is not around, so he never thought that Lin Feng in front of him would be his grandfather's best friend. This is simply a big pit. Originally, I thought that people like her grandfather who could become his friends must be old men of similar age. How could there be a young man who is only in his 20s? Moreover, this man looked like he was less than 22 years old, and he should still be in college. Oh my god, it was incredible that he could become a close friend with his grandfather. Now this rich girl only had Lin Feng in her eyes. She had been trying to tell her the ending of the good things she had done, so she stared at Lin Feng angrily. His mouth opened, but he didn't know what to say. Did he really have to ask this man to let him go? She pinched her clothes with her hands in fear. One thing she was thinking in her heart was that no, he absolutely could not tell this to her grandfather. So the face thing became a little small, so she said to Lin Feng with a slightly mixed expression, "Okay, can you stop telling my grandfather, otherwise, I need to be beaten." After hearing this, Lin Feng was a little surprised, but he thought that this guy should be fearless like before, but he didn't expect that he would act like a spoiled child and beg for mercy. He found it a little funny. But after all, the other party provoked him first, and then he pretended to be testing him and said, "If it wasn't for you just asking for it, why would I complain to your grandfather now?" Did you believe that your grandfather and I were like this just now? Do you believe it now? After hearing this, the rich girl in front of him became even angrier. He silently thought in his heart that when he could find someone to vent his anger for him one day, he must teach Lin Feng a lesson, otherwise he would not be called Lu Qingqing. But one thing he thought in his heart was that it is never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. So she tried her best to please Lin Feng. After all, he was having dinner with his wife. So he turned his eyes and said to Lin Feng, "Brother, it was all my fault just now. Can't I apologize to you? At most, I'll go and give my sister-in-law some money. I'm sorry that you and your sister-in-law were having dinner together. You must feel very uncomfortable. I'll say a few good words to your wife later, so that you won't be blamed by your wife when you go back." Lin Feng was suddenly treated like this by him. For a moment, he felt a little helpless and shook his head and said, Okay, don't say such things. I just told your grandfather that I won't cause you any trouble for the time being, but you remember this. If you meet me next time, take a detour. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." After saying this, Lin Feng didn't say anything more and just walked away. The rich girl was left standing there stupidly with her fist raised, and then she said fiercely, "What's so great about this stinky man? I'll ask my brother to reason with him when I get back." Although he was afraid of his grandfather, his brothers protected him. Anyway, as long as he could convince his brother, it shouldn't be a problem. So he let Lin Feng be arrogant for a while. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left, but when he left, he had an unwilling look on his face. No, this guy didn't say I can't eat here. Anyway, he has already complained to Grandpa. At most, I will finish my meal here and leave. I won't let him enjoy the space for two people peacefully. But after asking, he said to the chef next to him, "Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and prepare the food I like for me, otherwise, do you want to be beaten?" After all, he has a hot temper and no one dares to provoke him casually. The chefs nearby all knew that according to Lu Qingqing's temper, if they dared not follow his wishes, then they would be the only ones who would be in trouble, so none of them dared to say a word. The chef in front of him, although cooking for Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi, nodded quickly after hearing Lu Qingqing's opinion. He had once slacked off a little. As a result, he was beaten up by Lu Qingqing. The key was that he had no way to appeal this matter, because once he said it, all the restaurants in the city would definitely not let him have a place to stay. So the only thing he could do was to tolerate it. Seeing that the chef was about to prepare food for him, Lu Qingqing suddenly had a gleam in his eyes. Yes, why did he forget to find Lin Feng? Doesn't this guy like to eat with his wife? Then he had to ruin the other party's good thing in order to get what he wanted. He didn't believe that he could be as rude to him as he was just now in front of his wife. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1294. You are not welcome here. He did what he said, so he asked the waiter next to him, "Do you have the key to the private room where the man was just now? I want to go over there." After hearing this, the waiter was stunned for a moment, and said to him reluctantly, "But, we can't give the customer's key to other people, otherwise we will be punished." After hearing what the waiter said, Lu Qingqing still forced the other party to hand over the key, otherwise he would be fired immediately, because her grandfather still had a lot of shares in this restaurant, so the other party did not dare to go against him, so she could only hand over the key and said to him gratefully, "Please, Miss Lu, if you go, don't say that I gave you the key, I will also be punished." Although Lin Fenglian's people don't seem to treat the people below casually, which is very disgusting, but who knows, and the people in the kitchen will also become accomplices. After saying this, Lu Qingqing nodded and said helplessly, "Okay, since you have begged me so much, then I will agree to you, but I have to say this in advance. If I am unhappy today, then I will still say that you gave me the key." After hearing what he said, the waiter felt bad because he felt that Lu Qingqing was too untrustworthy. He had just promised that he would not tell anyone about the matter, but now his face changed immediately. Lu Qingqing looked at him with a nervous look and said a little bored, "I didn't expect to scare you so soon. Forget it, I won't talk so much nonsense with you. I will tell you directly that I was just teasing you just now. I didn't expect you to be so unfunny. I will give you the key back." After he said this, he threw the key back. The waiter also saw that the waiter was so pitiful. Otherwise, he would not have disturbed the other party. If he wanted to find Lin Feng, why would he need the key? Wouldn't it be right to go to him directly with a thick skin? You know, if people in the world are thick-skinned, then it must be harder to find than him. A girl who looks so decent is doing such a shameless thing. After watching him leave, the waiter finally breathed a sigh of relief. Because if it goes on like this, he is afraid that he will collapse. Lu Qingqing walked out of the dining hall and went to Lin Feng's room. She was looking for what Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were doing secretly. Just then, she saw them feeding each other. It was the first time for him to see someone he hated. After the two of them were so close, he had a very complicated feeling in his heart. Thinking of the way he bullied himself just now, but he was so good to another woman, and there was so much tenderness in his eyes, as if he wanted to pamper the goddess in front of him to fly to the sky. Lu Qingqing's heart was unhappy all of a sudden, and he pushed open the door with a sound. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi, the scene was originally quite warm. But suddenly someone came to destroy it, so both of them were startled. Especially when Lin Feng saw that the person who came was her, he became very upset, so he said coldly, "Do you have anything else to say? If not, get out quickly, you are not welcome here." After saying this, the other party's face became a little ugly, but he still sat down and said shamelessly, "Who said I'm fine? I came here to see you for something. My grandfather just said that if you are free, then go back with me tomorrow to drink tea. He invites you to drink the tea he recently brought back from another island." After saying this, Lin Feng's face still didn't look any better, and he said to him, "If it is such a simple matter, then you definitely don't need to notify me as a granddaughter, so your combination is really too clumsy, get out quickly." Lin Feng really didn't have any good feelings for her, nor was he gentle at all, especially since she disturbed the way he and Zhang Yuxi get along. He naturally wouldn't show mercy to the other party. Lu Qingqing stood up in a flash, looked at him unhappily and said, "I didn't expect you to be such a cruel person. Very well, then you wait for me. One day I will let you know what price you will pay for offending me today." After Lu Qingqing finished speaking, she took one last look at Zhang Yuxi and ran away. After he ran out, he didn't know why tears suddenly flowed down his face. He was not the kind of girl who liked to cry, but after Lin Feng bullied him, he felt very wronged. Even when his grandfather beat him and taught him a lesson, he never felt so wronged. He wiped his tears and didn't know what to do. At this time, his brother called. After answering the phone, he said a little aggrievedly, "Brother, I have been bullied. You have to help me get revenge." After saying this, his brother also looked very angry and asked, "Who is it? How dare you touch my sister? Tell me, brother will go and help you deal with it." After he said this, Lu Qingqing's happy voice came from this side, so she said coquettishly, "That man is called Lin Feng. Brother, can you ask someone to beat him up?" After hearing his sister asking him to do this, a very angry voice came from the phone. "What did you say? There's a bastard who dares to bully my sister. Then tell me his name and where he is now. I will bring people to deal with him now." The voice on the phone was already full of domineering, which is why the first image of this rich girl in front of Lin Feng is a condescending look. There is no doubt that he has been spoiled since he was a child. He thinks that as long as it is something he wants, he must get it no matter what. Although he had a lot of curiosity about Lin Feng now, he was more angry with Lin Feng, and he had another very strange feeling towards Lin Feng in his heart, but he himself could not explain it clearly. So he attributed this feeling to his hatred for Lin Feng, and he was a little angry at his brother. But he said reluctantly, "Brother, I just want you to teach him a lesson, but you can't beat him to death, otherwise it will be meaningless." His brother nodded. Anyway, he was willing to help his sister after hearing that he asked him to live here. But as he spoke, he felt that something was wrong, so his brother's voice became a little dark, and then asked, "Do you have any other ideas about him? Otherwise, why are you always so hesitant? If you really want to teach him a lesson, wouldn't it be enough to just do it directly? Why do you always tell me to show mercy? Shouldn't you teach him a lesson more severely?" After saying this, Lu Qingqing's face was full of shyness. Fortunately, his brother did not appear in this place, otherwise he would have understood everything by seeing the expression on his face. But Lu Qingqing still didn't understand. He stamped his feet with a look of shame and anger, and said to his brother, "How can you say that to me? Brother, I have no intention of that bastard. I just want him to die too quickly. If you beat him to the hospital, I won't be able to torture him slowly. So brother, You must agree that I will teach him a lesson. I can't let him get hurt, but I can't let him think that we are playing a joke on him." At this time, the rich young man on the phone is also a member of the Lu family. He naturally understands that his sister is likely to have some connection with the boy who wants him to teach a lesson. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made so many decisions. After all, he is a promiscuous place, so he can still understand this. So he nodded, as if he understood. He said to him, "Okay, sister, I promise you, don't worry, okay." After saying this, Lu Qingqing really didn't know how to answer his brother. He felt that his brother had misunderstood, but the other party didn't listen to him. What can he do? In the end, he had to hang up the phone, but his brother also agreed. He just wanted to feel uncomfortable, so he opened the chat box and directly sent Lin Feng's location to the other party. Chapter 1295, Proud Miss. Lu Qingqing thought to herself, this guy is finished anyway, isn't today the 100th anniversary of his marriage to his wife? Then he would make him suffer, this is his idea of revenge. Of course, after the lesson just now, he knew that Lin Feng knew his grandfather, so he couldn't go against Lin Feng himself. So he could only let his brother send someone to go against Lin Feng. Anyway, after they had lunch in this restaurant at noon today, they must rest for a while, really not letting them have an easy life. This is what Lu Qingqing really thinks in her heart now. The chef next to him was a little scared when he saw such a weird smile on his face. After all, this little girl didn't look like she was doing anything right. Generally speaking, if she is not teasing someone, then she is on the way to tease someone, so now she is more afraid that if she continues like this, she will really destroy the world of two people, of Lin Feng and him. So he walked over and said with a chuckle, "Miss Lu Qingqing, why don't I make you a new dish, so that after you eat it, you will definitely want to come again next time." He didn't know why this fat chef was so nice to him all of a sudden. He also knew that Lu Qingqing had been threatening this fat chef before, so there was no need for this fat chef to be so nice. And he must really dislike him in his heart. It's impossible to make a new dish for him casually, not to mention that Lin Feng didn't eat it. Why would he eat it first? The worst thing is that he wants to taste it himself. He doesn't need to lower his status, so he shook his head and said to the chef, "You fat guy are quite cunning. You think I want to deal with the two people in there, so you side with them, right?" The chef was a little stunned after hearing this, because he didn't expect that the other party could know his thoughts so easily, and shook his head and said, "How is it possible, Miss Lu Qingqing? I just want to invite you to taste my vegetables instead of helping anyone, otherwise why would I bother you at this time? I also know that you are a busy person, and you often visit our restaurant. Once there is a new product, shouldn't you be allowed to taste it first?" Unexpectedly, what the chef said was quite pleasing, but Lu Qingqing had already seen what he was thinking in his heart. So he shook his head and said in a very indifferent way, "Don't pretend in front of me. No matter what, I tell you that no one can save those two people today." After he finished speaking, he held his hands in front of him, looking arrogant. He was just like a proud lady, arrogant and domineering. Indeed, no one could persuade him. Seeing that there was no other way, the chef could only leave first. Otherwise, tell him to stop. Before he left, Lu Qingqing slapped the table, making a loud noise, and then said, "If you dare to tell Lin Feng and the others, then you can forget about working in this restaurant. You also know my temper. I can't easily forgive someone who betrayed me." After saying that, he asked the other party to get out. After the chef went out, he wiped the sweat on his forehead. He didn't expect this guy to threaten him more and more excessively. But the chef really didn't know what Lu Qingqing wanted to do. So he had no choice but to serve the dishes to Lin Feng. Because he thought Lin Feng should be able to deal with this arrogant lady of the department store. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, a group of social people with maces and thick sticks came to the restaurant. When they saw such people, they hid far away. Although he is a cook who cooks, the proportion is relatively large, but there are so many people, he doesn't want to fight so many people alone. So one of them came over and asked him fiercely, "Where is that guy Lin Feng? Take me to see him." Unexpectedly, these people really came to find Lin Feng, so the chef was a little hesitant about whether he should tell them Lin Feng's room number. But after thinking about it, he felt that if he didn't tell them, they would know it after seeing Lu Qingqing later. So he could only point to Lin Feng's room number. Then he said to them, "This place is a regular restaurant. If you make any trouble, you should be careful." As soon as he said this, the other party turned around, glared at him fiercely and said to him, "You stinky boy, don't waste so much words in front of me. We are looking for Lin Feng, not a fat chef like you. Why do you care so much?" After saying this, the other party pushed him away fiercely, then walked in. Lin Feng was sleeping with Zhang Yuxi in the room. Unexpectedly, there was a knock on the door outside the room. There was a hint of anger in his eyes. Because today is a good day for him and Zhang Yuxi to celebrate, but they were disturbed by someone, and who disturbed them so thoroughly. It would have been fine if it was Lu Qingqing before, after all, she was the daughter of a socialite, but now the people outside knew that the person was up to no good when they heard the knock on the door. Who the hell dared to disturb him? He picked up his clothes and pried the door open. After seeing the group of people standing outside, he first asked coldly, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" But after hearing Lin Feng's voice, these people not only did not answer. Instead, they swaggered into Lin Feng's room and said to Lin Feng, "If you want to blame someone, you can only blame the person you offended, so we are here to find you today." After saying this, Lin Feng stared at them, picked up a glass cup in his hand and smashed it to the edge of the table. It exposed its sharp end and slashed towards them, yelling at them, "Do you want to die? Be careful or I'll use this thing to cripple all of you. Today is a good day for me and my wife, so I can spare your lives. Get out of here. I don't want to fight today." Unfortunately, after hearing this, these people laughed and said, "Are you warning us? We are not scared by you at all, otherwise you wouldn't send so many people to deal with you together. We all know you have some skills. But we have more people, you can't beat us." Chapter 1296, The Little Witch Meets the Big Witch. Lin Feng stared at them. It can be seen from their body shapes and muscle conditions that they should be martial artists. At most, they have practiced for a few years, so they are really capable of dealing with ordinary gangsters or ordinary people who know martial arts. But if they deal with Lin Feng, then they are far behind. So Lin Feng laughed and said, "You are nothing in front of me, I just don't want to fight with you. I will say it again for the last time, no matter who sent you here today, you just have to get out and go back and tell that person. I will only count this account on him, and I haven't changed my mind yet." Lin Feng lowered his head and revealed a hint of anger in his eyes. Because he had already understood who arranged this matter. He and Lu Qingqing had just separated for less than 2 hours. How could someone else know that he was here and called people over? Then there was no one else except Lu Qingqing. So after Lin Feng told the other party what he said, the other party ignored any warnings and continued to walk up, holding the stick in his hand and smashing it down on Lin Feng's head. At this time, Zhang Yuxi hid behind Lin Feng in fear. After seeing Zhang Yuxi, someone in the corner hurried over and said to Lin Feng with a grin, "Since your wife is here, I will attack your wife first." When he saw that the other party's smile was a little bit obscene, he hurriedly kicked him and kicked him out like a parabola. After seeing this scene, these people not only did not retreat, but they became more concerned about stopping him. The eyes of each of them revealed a fighting force. Because they all knew that Lin Feng was a martial artist, and the people above them had told them long before. So they didn't think that what Lin Feng was doing was wrong. They moved closer to Lin Feng's chess formation. One of them pointed at Lin Feng and said, "You guy, don't think we don't know what you are thinking. You know very well that you can't beat us alone, so you want to intimidate us and make us afraid, right? I advise you not to waste such thoughts. We are definitely not afraid of you." After saying that, the others nodded and pointed at Lin Feng with a tool in their hands, as if they wanted to beat Lin Feng down immediately. Lin Feng was completely angry this time. He said to Zhang Yuxi in the corner, "Go back to our small bedroom first. It will be solved here in about half an hour. I will take you out and continue our date somewhere else." Today, Lin Feng promised Zhang Yuxi that he must accompany him well. Otherwise, he would not keep his promise, so Zhang Yuxi nodded after hearing it and hurried to another room. He was a little worried about Lin Feng, but he also knew that he couldn't help Lin Feng in a fight, so he could only stay away. Sure enough, after he left, Lin Feng was about to pull his clothes directly, and it can be seen that he is very violent now. He has been angered to the extreme by these people, so none of them can escape, and they will have to lie in the hospital for at least 2 months. You know, Lin Feng usually doesn't get so angry, because these people are too ungrateful, and letting them lie in bed for 2 months is also helping them, because if they stay, then Lin Feng will use more power in a while. Whether they can survive is another matter. Not to mention lying in the hospital, so as soon as Lin Feng made a move, They were already blocked on the ground before they could see clearly how Lin Feng made a move, and their faces were all trembling with fear. How is this possible? How could this kid become so powerful? I don't believe it. Did the boss tell us just now that this guy actually has such powerful strength? We just thought that we would be able to deal with this kid after bringing a few more people, but we didn't expect that he would be much more powerful than we imagined. Although the other gangsters were not knocked to the ground by Lin Feng, they still looked at Lin Feng in horror. Lin Feng saw their eyes change from arrogance at the beginning to panic now. But what's the matter with this? Lin Feng didn't force them to fight against him. If they didn't ask for trouble one by one, they wouldn't be beaten down by Lin Feng now. Lin Feng picked up a steel rod on the ground. Then he weighed it in his palm and said to all of them, "How did you want to deal with me just now? Fairies, are you ready to be dealt with by me in the same way?" After Lin Feng asked this question, everyone shook their heads on time, and some people began to tremble as if they were about to run away. After Lin Feng found this person, he swung his other stick over, and with a bang, he broke the opponent's bones. Although Lin Feng did not use a lot of force, he needed to concentrate all the force at the moment of the shove. Until he touched the opponent's bones, he directly transmitted the greatest force. So the opponent screamed miserably. After hearing such a terrified scream, everyone trembled a little, and one of them had already begun to retreat. The stick on the ground was about to escape, and at this time Lin Feng first solved the other long stick that the escaped person had put in the problem, so he swung it over. With a bang, he knocked the opponent down again. And this time, Lin Feng did not let the opponent go as easily as he did in the first place, but walked up directly. Then he stepped on the opponent's body with a bang, and crushed another piece of the opponent's bone. After hearing this sound, everyone said that they couldn't believe this wave. How much force does it take to crush a person's knee? Isn't this directly equivalent to a car accident? The key is that if there is a car accident, it is not necessarily that only one part is injured, and it is impossible to be so clear-headed as it is now, and to be able to fully feel the pain of the kneecap being smashed. This step has made everyone understand that Lin Feng is not an ordinary person, and he is much stronger than they imagined. One of them has already started to call his people. Lin Feng naturally did not know and did not see such a scene, but he did not stop it. Why? Because he just wanted this person to call Lu Qingqing and let him know his fate, which is not good, and he plans to go directly to Lu's house to find Lu Qingqing after dealing with these people. This time it was too much. When he thought of the arrogant girl, he couldn't help but get angry in his heart. He felt that he and his wife didn't have too much of what they did just now. Suddenly, he broke into their private room. This is not a big deal. After all, the two are still people who want to get to know each other, but what he did now is too much, just looking for someone to beat him up. And he also wanted to contact his wife. You know, the person that Lin Feng was most worried about was his wife Zhang Yuxi. If he didn't fight back after being bullied, then he would not be Lin Feng anymore. So all he did would not change anything. The people in front of him couldn't escape even if they wanted to, because their speed was not as fast as Lin Feng's. In addition, they couldn't get out. Chapter 1297, A Big Fight. The gangsters knelt on the ground and confessed their crimes. They pleaded with Lin Feng, "Brother, please let us go. We know we are wrong. We can only kowtow and apologize to you. We are also under the instructions of our superiors, so we come to trouble you." After hearing what these people said, Lin Feng did not show any mercy. He still hit them with a stick on any part of their bodies. No matter where they were, they would be beaten until they were sent to the hospital. Of course, he did all this. After a while, one by one, they were either knocked unconscious by Lin Feng, or they knelt on the ground and trembled constantly, screaming in pain, and the whole private room was wailing. But Zhang Yuxi, who was in another small private room bedroom, did not hear all this. The sound insulation effect on his side was very good, so apart from a little bit while Lin Feng had not come back yet, he didn't have any other thoughts, but it was just less than half an hour. Lin Feng walked in and said to Zhang Yuxi, "I'm back. Let's go to another restaurant together. But we have to end our date early tonight because I have to go and cause trouble for that guy." After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuxi nodded and said sensibly, "Okay, I respect your decision. I also think that what he did was too much. How could this little girl be so careless?" The two of them walked out of the private room hand in hand. When passing the door in front of them, Zhang Yuxi saw that the people lying on the floor did not show much surprise, because he was used to it. It was not that Lin Feng had not beaten people in front of him before, but all this made him less and less worried because he knew how capable Lin Feng was. Even if it was an international champion, it would not pose any threat to Lin Feng, not to mention that those people did not look that powerful. The gangsters who were already unconscious or seriously injured were lying on the floor, looking at the backs of Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi who had left in the morning. They got up and called Lu Qingqing. After hearing the voice on the phone, Lu Qingqing cursed loudly, "You are such a useless bunch of trash. You can't even deal with a man. You guys are still saying that you are my brother's very powerful thugs. I think you don't need to continue. Just go back to your hometown tomorrow." Lu Qingqing was very angry. Although he said that he had never thought about making Lin Feng really unlucky, he still had to teach him a lesson. But these people really disappointed him, so he was full of anger towards everyone now. After hearing this, the people on the phone who were looking for trouble with Lin Feng immediately became panicked. You know, they have been supported by the Lu family all the time. If Lu Qingqing turned around and told his brother, the eldest son of the Lu family, then they would really be assholes. After thinking of this, they hurriedly said with sorrow, "Miss, you can't do this. We will definitely teach that stinky boy a lesson. Please give us another chance, otherwise we will really be homeless. Where do we have a hometown? It's just that everyone is in debt or homeless." But Lu Qingqing has been a proud girl since she was a child. Not only does she not understand the things they desire, but she also tries to destroy everything they expect. He said with a chuckle, "What does this have to do with me? It's just that you didn't seize the opportunity. Anyway, I won't forgive you. Giving you one chance is not enough. Do I have to give you a second chance? There is no second chance. Hurry up and apologize to my brother." Lu Qingqing's words were a great blow to everyone, but what could they do? Should they teach Lu Qingqing a lesson? Of course, they didn't have the guts to do that. After all, Lu Qingqing was the proud daughter of the Lu family. If they bullied her, they wouldn't have to worry about finding a job in the future. Even if they could leave the entire Magic City alive, it would depend on whether it was possible for Mr. Lu to save his face. So everyone understood one thing. Now that they had offended the eldest daughter of the Lu family, there was only one way to solve this problem, which was to go back and teach Lin Feng a lesson. Then send the photo to Lu Qingqing, and then they would be able to get her forgiveness. Their thoughts were naturally so simple, but they didn't think about one thing, which was, Lu Qingqing didn't want to beat Lin Feng so hard that smoke came out of his grave. She just wanted to teach him a lesson and let him come to apologize, but she didn't expect that this didn't happen at all. Now he also understood one thing. That is, Lin Feng would definitely be more powerful than he imagined, so it would be useless to ask someone to beat him up, so what he would have to face immediately would probably be Lin Feng's revenge. He closed his eyes in despair. Brother, now you can only hold Lin Feng back. If you can't do it, I will definitely be scolded to death by Grandpa when I go back." Although he knew that with his identity, Lin Feng would not come to teach him a lesson in person, but once he told the old man of the Lu family about this matter, then he would not be able to go out casually in the future, and use his distinguished identity as the eldest lady of the Lu family to do anything. Even if he wanted to go out, it would probably be hopeless. So now he can only put all his hopes on his only brother who has loved him since he was a child. If the other party can teach Lin Feng a lesson, then Lin Feng probably won't go to complain. But such hope is still slim, so after thinking about it, he decided to take the first step. Automatically go to train the old man. He is his grandfather. It is impossible for the other party to not take him seriously. After thinking about this, he nodded silently, then grabbed the phone in his hand, and called the old man of the Lu family. After a while, the person who answered the phone was the assistant of the old man of the Lu family, who was also Lu Qingqing's uncle since she was a child. He said to the assistant on the phone, "Uncle Lee, can you give the phone to my grandfather? I want to say a few words to him." After saying this, the other party nodded and said, "Don't worry, your grandfather is next to you. He is so happy to hear you call. He can't wait to receive your call now." After saying this, he handed the phone to the old man of the Lu family, and heard the old man of the Lu family scolding, "Who told you to say such things? What do you mean that I, an old man, hope to receive his call? His unfilial granddaughter only knows to call after 10 days or half a month. Does she still take me, the grandpa, seriously? Hurry up and bring the phone over." After roaring at his assistant, the old man of the Lu family took the phone, but said to his granddaughter in a somewhat strict voice, "What's wrong? Did something happen again? Otherwise, how could you bear to call your grandpa? It can be seen that the other party knows his granddaughter very well, so after he finished speaking, there was an awkward voice on the phone, and he didn't know how to start. After all, it was the first time that Lin Feng admitted his mistake to his grandfather, because he seemed to know that the person he offended this time was a bit remarkable, otherwise he would not have made such a big fuss to personally apologize to his grandfather. In addition, there were only him and Lin Feng, and he didn't want to miss each other, so he said shyly, "Grandpa, do you have a friend named Lin Feng?" Chapter 1298, Is This Human Language? After hearing what he said, the old man of the Lu family showed a hint of surprise, and then said to him, "You didn't offend this guy, did you? If you offended him, then come back to me." After hearing what her grandfather said, Lin Feng closed her eyes in despair. No way, no way, she really offended someone she shouldn't have offended, otherwise why would even her grandfather say that to her? But he really didn't want to go back and apologize to the other party obediently. Thinking that he had to apologize humbly in front of Lin Feng, he felt that his status as a favored daughter of heaven was gone in an instant. So he also said hesitantly, "Grandpa, can you discuss it with me? I don't want to apologize to that person." But when the old man of the Lu family heard that he actually interrupted at this time, he was so angry that he almost had a heart attack. "Is what you said human language? Hurry up and come back to me, otherwise don't even think about coming back to this family." After hearing this, he finally understood that this guy should have a close relationship with his grandfather, or with their family. Otherwise, how could his grandfather be so excited? Therefore, Lin Feng could only comfort her grandfather on the phone. "Okay, don't be angry, I'll be back now, but my brother has always listened to me and found someone to deal with Lin Feng. There shouldn't be any problem." After hearing this, Mr. Lu was about to explode on the spot. He took his crutches and hit the assistant next to him hard. "What are you still standing there for? Why don't you go and find all my 2 unfilial grandsons and granddaughters for me? You even want to cause trouble for Lin Feng. Why doesn't he go to heaven?" After hearing this, the assistant also ran out in a hurry. After seeing his assistant run out, the old man shouted at him again, "Come back, I have something to tell you." After saying this, the other party hurried back and said to him very respectfully, "What's wrong, old man? Do you have any other instructions to tell me?" Seeing him like this, the assistant can usually guess what he is going to do next. After all, he has been with him for decades. Old Master Lu nodded and said, "Go and take out my most formal dress. I will wear it and apologize to Lin Feng in person. These 2 little bastards did something, and I, an old man, actually have to clean up their asses. It's really unreasonable." It was because the assistant had been with him for so long that he understood why the old man was so excited and wanted to apologize to Lin Feng so much. That was because their entire Lu family's business had something to do with Lin Feng. It's not that it has something to do with Lin Feng alone, but it has something to do with Lin Feng's entire family. Just based on Lin Feng's uncle, there are very important engineering and enterprise projects in the entire Magic City and even the entire province. The reason why their Lu family is so prosperous is because they once got the favor of Uncle Lin Feng in the business field, so the grassroots of the Warring States period became one of the major families. But if Lin Feng becomes the first person to be offended by their Lu family, then it's over. If Lin Feng's uncle knows about this, won't he skin all of them? After thinking about this, even the assistant took a breath of cold air. He knew very well that for a big family like this, the power was very complicated. Once any force that could not be offended was offended, it would be very likely to collapse like a building in an instant. This is a very scary thing. On the other side, Lin Feng had already taken the reserved private yacht out of the sea, and was waiting for himself and Zhang Yuxi to arrive, so that he could drive the yacht to the beach. Now no one can disturb him and Zhang Yuxi, right? But just after he got on the yacht, he received another call, and it was a very important call. He was a little impatient. What happened today? Why did he feel that so many people came to disturb him just because he was going to meet Zhang Yuxi? However, he still answered the phone because the other party was the head of the Lu family and he probably understood what was going on. Just after he received the call, the person inside said in a very frightened and flattering voice, "Lin Feng, I really didn't know that my granddaughter would do such a thing to you. As your grandfather, I can only come to give you some apology. I hope you can forget about it." After hearing this, Lin Feng was also furious. Originally, Their Lu family had caused trouble for him today, and it was impossible for him not to forget about it. At this moment, the old man interrupted his and Zhang Yuxi's yacht trip again, and he became even angrier, so he said coldly, "Old man, instead of begging me here, you might as well go back and teach your granddaughter a lesson first. If I can feel relieved, I won't care. But if you don't feel relieved, then I can't say it." After hearing what he said, the other party nodded quickly and said, "Yes, yes, Lin Feng, don't worry, when that dead girl comes back, I will definitely make her kneel down and send you a video, how about it?" After hearing what he said, Lin Feng nodded and said, "Okay, I'll listen to you, but I want the result to be very satisfactory." After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yuxi smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Actually, there's no need for you to worry too much about this matter. I believe that the girl will be punished by her grandfather, and it won't delay her date, so there's no need to be so cruel to his family." Lin Feng had brought trouble to Yangqi, so Zhang Yuxi naturally felt a little uneasy after seeing this. But Lin Feng still shook his head and said, "That's because he brought it upon himself. If he hadn't come to disturb our date, I wouldn't have complained like him. What's more, it was his grandfather who called me just now, so this doesn't count as complaining." Regardless of Lin Feng's explanations, Zhang Yuxi felt that it was a bit unfair to do so, but she didn't say much. After all, what happened before did make her feel uncomfortable. It's better to teach the other party a lesson now. She nodded and said, "Okay, it depends on how you deal with it, but we can get on the yacht now." Lin Feng nodded, touched his hair, and smiled at him gently. "Of course, I can take you directly to the center of the sea on this yacht. Didn't we watch a movie before, where the two protagonists hugged each other on the yacht?" Unexpectedly, Lin Feng also cared about that scene, and Zhang Yuxi's eyes showed a touch of emotion. He originally thought that Lin Feng didn't like watching that kind of romantic movie, but he didn't expect that he actually secretly paid attention to it. Zhang Yuxi blushed slightly, and then leaned in Lin Feng's arms. The two looked at the scenery on the sea together. At this time, Zhang Yuxi said in the corner of Lin Feng, "Don't you always like to eat the cake made by that chef? I brought him here." After saying that, on their yacht, as expected, the chef stood on the plywood, and he was holding a plate of cake in his hand. It looked delicious and tasted completely different from the previous one. Unexpectedly, he had already made a new cake a few hours ago. Chapter 1299 Some Little Surprises. Zhang Yuxi's eyes showed a touch of excitement. Then he hugged Lin Feng, kissed his cheek gently, and said to him, "I didn't expect you to prepare so many surprises for me. I thought we were both busy just now and didn't have time to do anything else." Because someone had come to trouble them just now, Lin Feng left Zhang Yuxi alone when he was solving those troubles. But Zhang Yuxi didn't blame him, because he knew it was Lin Feng's fault, but now they were the only two people on the yacht. But now there is an extra chef, how could he not be happy? Lin Feng nodded, then put his arm around his waist and said to him, "As long as you can be happy, these are all small surprises, what's the big deal?" Then after that, he waved to the chef and called him over, and then said to him, "Now you can cut a cake." Because he just asked the chef to make a cake, it is not necessarily guaranteed that the cake can be eaten. Because it depends on whether Zhang Yuxi is happy or not. It seems that Zhang Yuxi is not a little tired of eating the cake before. The chef nodded and kept cutting the cake for them. He was happy in his heart, because Lin Feng's price was too high. He was paid 500,000 yuan a day on the yacht for one visit. You know, his salary is not that high. So he likes a customer like Lin Feng very much, unlike the eldest lady of the Lu family he served before. It was uncomfortable to make trouble for him all day long, and he didn't get any money. At the same time, he had to lose a lot. Either he was scolded by the people above, or he was scolded because he deliberately made trouble for himself. Anyway, when talking about Lu Qingqing, the chef was unhappy in his heart. But when he saw Lin Feng and the other two, a gleam of light appeared in his eyes. It can be said that Lin Feng was the best boss he had ever met. After the chef was ready, he didn't deliberately stay still like before. Instead, he obediently left the side of Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi. Leaving their world of two, Lin Feng picked up a piece of cake, then carefully used a fork to pick up a small piece and said to Zhang Yuxi, "Come on, open your mouth, I'll feed you." Zhang Yuxi smiled, opened her mouth, and said, "Husband, come on, feed me this piece of cake." After saying this, Lin Feng fed the cake into his mouth. Zhang Yuxi's face showed a happy smile, and at this time they both saw a group of very beautiful ripples on the sea. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi, do you know? In that movie today, I saw that scene in the movie. After Lin Feng finished speaking, he played the previous world movie again, and the scene in it was that he didn't hug Lin Feng from behind. At this time, Zhang Yuxi opened her arms and felt the feeling of the sea breeze blowing into her arms. At the same time, they were standing at the very edge of the yacht, so if they were not careful, they might fall off. But Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi were not afraid. The two of them felt particularly safe. They hugged each other like this for nearly 10 minutes, feeling the sea breeze. Because the sea breeze was so comfortable, it made both of them reach another level of spiritual realm. After more than 10 minutes, Lin Feng let go of Zhang Yuxi. The two returned to the yacht and ate the food here. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi, come on, eat more, wife. We didn't eat well before. Now we have so much time and won't be disturbed by anyone. Lin Feng smiled gently at Zhang Yuxi happily. After saying this, he accidentally found that his phone was ringing again. At this time, Lin Feng's expression suddenly became very complicated, as if he had never expected that so many troubles would come to him today. Zhang Yuxi and Lin Feng also hesitated for a moment. Today is their great day. Can there be so many troubles and people coming to them? But this is obviously not something they can decide. Zhang Yuxi said to Lin Feng in a comforting way, you should check who is calling. If it is someone very important to you, it will be bad. Their 100th anniversary was originally a very important day. If it was their relatives and friends, they would not disturb them at this time. I really don't know who is so bold to ruin his good thing. Lin Feng took out his mobile phone angrily. It turned out to be an unfamiliar number. Lin Feng rolled his eyes directly, and when he wanted to hang up the phone, he remembered the other party's voice again. He could only answer the phone. Hello, who is it? If you have anything to say, please tell me quickly. I don't have so much time here. After hearing what he said, a very arrogant laugh came from the phone. Boy, you are quite awesome. You offended my sister, and you dare to live a carefree life? To tell you the truth, I am already looking for trouble with you now. After hearing the other party's voice, Lin Feng was obviously dazed for a while. He didn't know who the sister the other party was talking about was, but when he recalled it, he immediately understood. The sister the other party was talking about, who else could it be besides Lu Qingqing? He said viciously, it seems that you don't know that your sister is in trouble. After hearing this, the person on the phone was stunned for a moment, and then said very angrily, boy, don't bluff me. Do you think I will believe you? My sister is fine. The eldest son of the Lu family, who was holding the phone, was very angry after hearing Lin Feng on the other side say such a thing, and then said to younger brother next to him, hurry up now, drive the boat to the position where Lin Feng is standing, and then I will see what confidence this kid has. How dare he say such words, and even dare to curse my sister, damn guy. The younger brother next to him immediately received an order, as if executing the emperor's order, so he drove his boat towards the direction of Lin Feng, and he said to his men, in a while, you can teach the people on that boat a lesson and knock them down for me. After seeing his boss say such words, the leader of the gangsters also nodded and said, don't worry, boss, we will definitely beat him up. We don't know who that guy is, but he dared to mess with our boss. After hearing this, the gangster kicked the other person hurriedly, cursing loudly, and said, the boss you are talking about should be our Lu family's eldest young master. All of us are here to work for him. Don't talk nonsense in the future, do you understand? The little gangster stood up, touched his head, nodded and said, yes, yes, boss, I will know later, no. Big brother, you are the big brother. After saying this, a group of them drove the boat and gradually approached Lin Feng's boat. Chapter 1300, Escape and Say Harsh Words. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi had just finished eating a piece of cake when they saw this scene. Lin Feng's face turned very gloomy, as if he had a terrifying temperament. After seeing him like this, Zhang Yuxi also stood up and said to him, why is there another person here? Lin Feng, should we leave now? After all, there is no benefit in fighting with them like this. But after hearing what he said, Lin Feng shook his head and said, we have nowhere to go. If we let them go, we don't know how many people will be sent. It seems that Lu Qingqing is really shameless. If this is the case, then I can only call their old man from the Lu family again. After saying this, Lin Feng stood up and took out a stick from the cabin to deal with these gangsters. Although he could beat them with his bare hands, Lin Feng still habitually took a weapon in his hand. Zhang Yuxi was taken back to the room by Lin Feng and stayed there temporarily, because the outside world suited him. In less than 5 minutes, the boat that was approaching from far away had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. Several people came down from it. Each of them had tattoos carved on their bodies and looked quite social. After seeing these people, the boy could feel the aura on them. They were very social, but they were different from the group of people who surrounded him in the restaurant before. They must be a group of people who have very rich experience in society. I don't know when these people came. Lin Feng stood up and stared at them and said, "You have completely angered me today, so you must be prepared to pay the price of being taught a lesson. Not only you, but also the person who gave you this order must pay the price of being punished." After hearing what he said, the man in front of him laughed, not taking Lin Feng's words seriously at all, and even said sarcastically, "Who gave you such courage to say such words?" Lin Feng was too lazy to explain to them. Because such people came in waves, it was really a waste of time for him, so he hit the other person on the head with a stick. He knocked the opponent down with a thud, and then fell into the boat. After seeing this scene, the others were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Lin Feng to be so skilled and kill the man so quickly. So they all attacked at the same time. They were not stupid and knew that Lin Feng must have some skills. But what they never expected was that even if all the people attacked together, it would be difficult to beat Lin Feng. Not to mention that they beat him, they didn't even touch Lin Feng's clothes. He was stopped at the foot and kicked into the sea with a stick. Lin Feng didn't care whether they would die in the sea or not, because he was in a very bad mood today. If they died, it would be their own people who would be responsible. What's more, it would never involve himself. "Help, help, come and save us." The eldest young master of the Lu family, who was still on his own boat and only a little distance away, was dumbfounded after hearing the same cry for help. He never expected that his sister would give him such inaccurate information about Lin Feng. If he rushed over, wouldn't he have the same fate as the other party? He shook his head and felt that he couldn't go over. So he coughed, and then said to another leader next to him, "Go and bring those people back, let's withdraw first. This guy has been disturbed by us and can't continue to date his wife. It can be regarded as a mission completed." After hearing what he said, the leader didn't dare to look at the eldest young master of the Lu family. He didn't expect that the young master of the Lu family would be so cowardly. A day ago, he thought that if the Lu family backed him up, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone. But now it seems that Lin Feng is indeed a bit difficult to deal with. So he could only nod, and then said to the other brothers, "You all follow me to save people." After saying this, they all approached the sea. Lin Feng saw that these people didn't come to him, and he was a little unhappy. So he drove his boat towards them. After seeing this scene, the gangsters who originally wanted to save people were all dumbfounded. Just when they were about to save people, Lin Feng suddenly jumped over from the boat very close to them. There was about 6 or 7 meters between them, and this guy actually jumped over straight. This long jumper is not as good as him. After coming over, Lin Feng weighed the stick in his hand first, and then said to them, "You also saw what happened to your brother. I am very unhappy today, so who of you will come first and let me hit you with a stick?" It must be said that Lin Feng's words were too arrogant. Even all the gangsters here were frightened by Lin Feng's momentum for a while, but no one would be willing to take the initiative to stand up and let Lin Feng hit them with a stick, unless they were mentally ill. But finally, a man came out and said to Lin Feng, "So what if you can beat us? Don't forget who is behind us. We have the Lu family behind us, and the person who invited us to teach you a lesson this time is the eldest young master of the Lu family. If you offend us, it is equivalent to offending our eldest young master. Do you think you will end up well?" After hearing their questions, Lin Feng snorted, then took a stick and smashed another man's head off and said to them, "I don't know if I will end up well, but you will definitely end up well." One after another, they were like carrot heads. Lin Feng kicked them into the river, and then drove their boat directly towards the boat where the eldest young master of the Lu family was. After seeing this situation, the young master of the Lu family didn't understand that it was clearly Lin Feng who came here alone to seek revenge, so he quickly asked the man who drove the yacht to drive the yacht away like flying, and shouted while running, "Wait for Lin Feng, I will definitely ask someone to teach you a lesson when I return. I will definitely take revenge, and I will also remember you for bullying my sister." This kind of person is the most boring. He is still swearing while running for his life, but Lin Feng doesn't care what he says and wants to catch up with him. However, the speed of the yacht he drove didn't seem to be very fast, And even with his very good skills, he couldn't control it faster than the other party. If it really didn't work, Lin Feng would have no choice, but he would never let the young master of the Lu family go back safely so easily. It was impossible for him to not get some injuries on his body. Lin Feng took the stick in his hand, hit the back of the other party's head, and threw it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.